to soul. Gin, work meetings and gin. Under my arm and my eyelashes flutter. So gin, work meetings and gin. Paul and self thinks he's Elvis, but I'll break his pelvis. We're jumping, you know. So gin, waves are off, I'll be burning the tent along with all the trace evidence. People don't just vanish, it doesn't make any sense. Whoa, whoa, whoa. People who live can't bring back my friend, and my farm is a blur. After I finish this bottle of gin, I'll bring it falling, fucking down a removal. Peter falling, whoa, 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 whoa. Peter falling, whoa, whoa, whoa. Peter falling can find a tiny little stone on the bottom of the river. Peter, whoa, falling. Oh my gin, war meetings and gin. Meetings and gin. Gin. Work meetings and gin.
That's the gin song. 1 2 check Chuffy 1 2. Hi, you with Scott. I'm Super Chuffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. Tonight with a study group. Tonight we are a study group. I've got some nice background music for us as well. Tonight we're a study group. What we're going to look at tonight is we're going to look at gin in relation to the Nicola Bulley case. I'm going to look through all sorts of different things. You sometimes might think, where's he going with this? But, you're going to want to stick around, see how it relates. In my opinion, I mean, I'd see how it relates to the Nicola Bulley case. I'm going to take you through gin distillation a little bit. I'm going to talk about where juniper berries come from. I'm going to talk about what it means in relation to the things I connected with the Nicola Bulley case Soul video. Some bigger things, big layers. It's like season 2 of Nicola Bulley now, right? So season 1 was all about the bench. It was all about what's at the bench, who's been at the bench. Was Nikki even at the bench? What's going on at the bench? We keep talking about the bench for a year. And really, there are bigger layers to this. There are deeper layers. It goes back a lot further. And whilst I'm not going to expose everything tonight, I'm not going to be naming any big criminal names and pointing any big fingers at any big criminals. They don't need to murder me. I will be explaining our way through a reasonably interesting. I think you'll find this interesting. If you're into Nicola Bulley stuff, you can't say this is not going to be interesting. Now, I want to just clear up one thing as well at the start. Big ups everyone in chat, big ups your chuffers, big ups everyone that's still a member, everyone that's still a green, big ups everyone that's still a green, everyone that turned up now. Can I give free memberships? I can't give free memberships for some reason on this channel. But big ups to all you chuffers, big ups to all you chuffers. Thank you for sticking by the channel as it goes on. Obviously, stuff on the channel will increase in frequency again, don't worry. So, Nicola Bulley case Soul video, that's the thing that I'm more focused on. I just want to clear something up because there's a lot of comments on Nicola Bulley, a new suspect, where we looked at what was going on down the road in the secure hospital. And a lot of people seem to think that that was like me saying, right, I don't think this anymore. I think it's the secure hospital. It's that. It's just that. And it's not that. It's that I like keep my mind open to different possibilities. And in my mind, I've got different angles, different things that I've got to follow. And then something came up like that. And I thought, wow, I haven't explored this. It could legit be something. Thank you, Red Fan, for the gifted memberships. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. You're picking up your memberships now. I apologise to all members. Like, you know, to be a member of a channel, you want the work coming out once a week, you know, stuff going on live streams. I appreciate that. I'm spread out a little bit around the internet. Steve's off with his back. We've got plans coming up for the future. It's all in hand. So thank you very much for the gifted memberships there. I'd actually better change my tippies link at the moment as well. At the moment, you've got dancing shoes when it comes on with the tippies. So I might change that while we're talking briefly at the start. Yeah, so like, you know, like my mind's a bit like a Trivial Pursuit thing with different, do you call them cheeses or do you call them chips or pies, wedges with different slices in there, yeah? And majority of my thinking is made up of one angle, but like if I needed to explore that hospital thing, you know, I needed to explore it, so I made a video about it. I am surprised that people thought that was my changing of everything, and I'm now just think that it's that, and that's the answer, and everything goes in the bin. It's just a different idea, different things to look at and think about. I thought it was a reasonable, an interesting look. Tonight is going to be more about what I think, you know, the reality. You know, not just ideas and not just ifs and buts and maybes, but the reality, I think. But we're going to get a bit wild as well. You know, we're going to get a bit wild, so you've got to stick with me on this. It's a work meeting. We're having a work meeting. What am I looking to do here? Stream alerts. That's what I'm looking to do. And change it from the picture of the lady dancing with the tippies. Where is it? There it is. Let's change that to something that's a bit more gin based before we get going. Any other housekeeping business before we get going? I don't think I've got any like special housekeeping business I need to start with, have I? We'll get going in just a second. I'll play you another gin song while I just quickly change the this.
Gin, work meetings and gin. This village is boring and everyone's talking. So
That's the wrong one.
And gin, this village is boring and everyone's talking. So gin, I'll be selling Marsh Farm Hall, but I'm keeping the gin bar and moving far from you all. Abroad this is so. Gin, work meetings and gin, under my armor my eyelashes flutter. So gin, gin, work meetings and gin, under my armor my eyelashes
I can't find a good gin picture.
So gin, work meetings and gin. Paul Ansel thinks he's Elvis, but I'll break his pelvis with jumping, you know. So gin,
Okay, there you go.
weddings are off, I'll be burning the tent, along with all the trace evidence. People don't just vanish, it doesn't make any sense.
Whoa, gin, right. Okay, so there's the song, there's the link. If you want to tip me, you can coffeeme.com and it will come up on the screen with now an appropriate picture about gin. Let's start with this. You all remember this, what's going on the screen, don't you? You're from the old work meetings. You're from the old work meetings, aren't you? We go way back to the old work meetings, don't we? Do you remember the old work meetings? Do you remember the old work meetings?
The most important place in most people's eyes. Oh, the watering hole. Should I put the lights on? I do apologise. That's full of gin. Last count was over 100 gins. I haven't been on the gin, believe me. The most important place in most people's eyes. Oh, the watering hole. Should I put the lights on? I do apologise. That's full of gin. Last count was over 100 gins. I haven't been on the gin, believe me. The most important place in most people's eyes. Oh, the watering hole. Should I put the lights on? I do apologise. That's full of gin. Last count was over 100 gins. I haven't been on the gin, believe me. The most important place in most people's eyes. Oh, the watering hole. Should I put the lights on? I do apologise. That's full of gin. Last count was over 100 gins.
I'm trying to get the word.
I haven't been on the gin, believe me.
Can't find it for some reason.
The most important place in most people's eyes. Oh, the watering hole. Should I put the lights on? I do apologise. That's full of gin. Last count was over 100 gins. I haven't been on the gin, believe me.
the fuck? Where's the work meeting
in
tweets?
most people's eyes. Oh, the watering hole. Should I put the lights on? I do apologise. That's full of gin. Last count was
There
over
she is.
100 gins. I can't even been on the gin, believe me. The most important.
Let's listen to this again.
She had plans. Oh, she was on a work meeting.
She was what? She was on her work. Pat Butcher come and said that for you then.
She had plans. Oh, she was on a work meeting.
It's like, do you remember the old work meetings?
Watering hole. Should I put the lights on? I do apologise. That's full of gin.
It's full of gin.
Last count was over 100 gins.
100 gins.
I haven't been on the gin, believe me.
She hasn't been on the gin.
The most important place in most people's eyes.
So, Emma White's got a gin bar. I'm taking you back now a little bit, aren't I? It's been a year. Big ups Swirl Sniper. Big ups all you in chat. Big ups Robert. Big ups Chubba. Big ups Kelly. Big ups Jennifer. Big ups Lulu. I was on a work meeting. Do you remember the old days? On a work meeting. Got myself an Under Armour cap now, look. It's not a sign to the Masons. I got it for a cosplay that I did. So, Emma White's got a gym bar. I'm going to start the show. Background music relaxing. Let's start talking. Tonight's a bit of a... I was going to make this into a video. I was going to make it into like a 20-minute video, short video, clips. But there's some things I need to talk to you about and just talk through. And I think it's better if all you smart people help me with it. So, study group tonight, gin. Emma White's got a gin bar. Noted, yeah? Something that we noted on early doors. Gin. Emma White's got a gin bar. Something else we noted when we went around this Paul Ansell's selling the house. This is Nicola Bulley's former residence. Paul Ansell's selling the house, you know that one. Going outside, obviously we noticed that hot tub full of water in the garden. We're going outside to the man cave, the old man cave. The man cave, yeah, the man cave. Get me in the man cave. I'm not coming out tonight. There's Paul. Whey. Hello, Paul. Haven't seen you in a while. The man cave. In the man cave. What's this? What's this?
Oh, big wobbly men can't bring back my friend, and my farm is a blur on the Google. After I finish this bottle of gin, I'll bring in folding for cadaver removal.
Gin bar. Just a little one. Gin bar. Now, this is the first note on the study group. First note on the study group. You will know me. You'll know me. Same old G, been low key, hated on, but I've been. What does he say? Oh, same old G, but y'all know me. Same old G, hated on, but I've been low key. Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? The Chuffer Man. Do 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 do. The Chuffer Man. Gin bar, yeah. Paul Ansell's got one. Gin bar. Specifically, that bottle you can see on there, that pink one I put in the thumbnail. We'll come back to it in a little minute. I want to, like, build my way to it. I want to build my way to it. Build my way. But I did put it in the thumbnail because... you can't see it very well there. Pink bottle of gin. It will come back. It's foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. Yeah, pink bottle of gin. It's just there. Lots of different gins. Emma's got over 100. Don't know if you heard her counting. She's got over 100. That's a lot of gin. Now, first point in the study group. Thank you, Purple Heron. Thank you for the £10 hugs. Why didn't it come up on the fucking screen? Wait. I just changed the settings. Wait. Coffee alert settings. They're on. Animations. Where's my animations? Animations should be on. Animations. They're on. Why didn't it come up on the screen? Hey, you chuffer. Wait. What's going on?
It's raining again.
There's a test.
Someone sent tippies. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
That's the test. I'm going to say thank you directly to you now. Just Purple Heron gave me a tip and said, "Big up, Scott. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for the £10 chat. It should come up on the screen. Hey, Chuffer. There must be something I've turned off. There must be something I've turned off. I need to really crack on with the show and just like ignore it, but it is annoying me because I know it's something I turned off the other night while we were talking about something. Why did I turn it off and what was it? Well, the test worked, so actually it should work, shouldn't it? That's weird. Okay. We'll keep. If I have to keep reading them out, I'll keep pressing the button and reading them out if I have to. We'll do it that way. Doesn't matter. It'll alert me on the screen. I'll press the button. I'll read them out. It's fine. Okay. In fact, it's even better because I'll press you a button and you get like the doubled extra bit of my attention. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you for the coffee.com. We've got gin, right? First thing I need for you to do as a study group. Write this down, note this down. Yeah, we don't talk about that, man, on the channel, but I'm obviously ripping the piss, so, you know, it's a little bit of a fun and game, but we don't talk about them on the channel. That's for the other channel. People want serious stuff here. He doesn't get the benefit of being talked on this channel. This channel has nothing to do with that strange man. This channel is all success, all on its own. Right, so what I want you to do is a study group. This is something for you study group. You know that I don't like going on Facebook and looking through all the Facebook stuff, don't you? Do you remember that? If someone said it on Facebook, it's all right, you're all right in chat. Listen, no one's for everything. It's fine. We're all having a laugh. In the Facebook world, there's lots of stuff that gets said, and I don't put it in my folder of evidence for Nikki the Bulley case. I don't put it on my, you know, let's do a video about it and talk about it. If it's hearsay, if it's gossip, I can't put it on. It's got to be facts. It's got to be real. It's got to be like, you know, I'm presenting it on the internet. All that other stuff can go on other places. For my show, it's got to be, if I can't follow it up and confirm it, don't really want to be, you know, making a big deal out of it. So, I heard, so that's the disclaimer, yeah, that's the disclaimer, but I heard, and someone will be able to find this, someone on the study group side of things will probably be able to find this. Obviously, I'm Super Chuffer on Twitter, and we've got a Discord, so you can get things to me, or like out in the world, they could be found. Someone will be able to find this, is Nicola Bulley and Paul Ansell. I've seen the post, but I didn't record it and put it in a file or anything because I thought, well, it's just a post on Facebook. It's insignificant at the moment. Didn't realise, didn't log it. You know, I'm not that sort of person. But I've seen the post, so I can give you my, you know, hearsay testimony that I've seen it. Paul Ansell and Nicola Bulley went to a gin club with Emma White called the Black Gin Club. Right or wrong? You're going to have to tell me in chat. Right or wrong? Does anyone remember that? Has anyone heard that? Anyone heard the thing about the gin club? The Black Gin Club. It's like some sort of like sharing, buying, selling gin, isn't it? The Black Gin Club. So I heard it. I heard that was something that got posted on Facebook. There's like a Facebook page called the Black Gin Club, and they went to an event or something like that. Posted, you know. I can't find it on the internet. Hearsay. Anyone in chat going to help me out? Ryu Street Fighter says they've heard it. Like, it's all well and good as saying we've heard it. Like, that's what I'm looking for, really. It's just that you've heard it, because I'm dealing with hearsay there, because obviously I've got no proof that they went there. But if people have, anyone's got that bit of the thing to stick on the pinboard, that would be good, because that's something that ding, ding, ding in my mind, yeah? So, gin. We've got a gin club that they visited. We'll say it's for real, because at the moment it goes in with what I'm talking about. You remember it, there were photos, says Teresa. Well, there you go. Photos I would fucking love, because if there are photos, I didn't see photos, I saw a post from what I remember. And I, you know, because I'm not on Facebook and I'm not looking at it all, someone must have sent it to me or something, and I just sort of put it on the sort of, yeah, you know, maybe Pile. But yeah, Photos, the Black Gin Club, like some sort of gin club they went to. It was, you haven't heard it, fair enough. It was one of these things off of Facebook where they'd been at an event. There was like 2 photos of them holding glasses or something, maybe, like you said in chat. And it was a sales event for a gin club, and Emma had roped them in, Paul, and like it was like a thing they went to, tagged, you know, attended event. With or without the gin club, they've got a fucking load of gin in that wedding venue. Paul Ansell's got a special little gin bar. Yeah. Little gin bar. Maybe it's just their favourite drink. You know? Maybe it's just their favourite drink. But gin is a connection. So I'm interested in gin. Okay? I'm interested in gin. So, what the chuff is going on with gin? What is gin? I suddenly had to get interested in gin distilling. I'm not really interested in gin distilling, but look at this. Look at this. If you want to do gin, look what you've got to get. You've got to get these stills and stuff. So what happens when you make gin? Is first of all, you're going to get juniper berries and stuff, yeah? Like make alcohol. Like, you know how making alcohol? You've got to ferment stuff and all that fermenting. Well, with gin, you don't really have to do that, the fermenting. Gin is produced by using juniper berries and other botanical ingredients to flavour an already distilled neutral alcohol. In the case of cold compound gins, after any botanical solids have been removed, the gin is diluted and bottled. This is complicated. Compound gins are rarely labelled as such due to negative connotations with the term, but many of the budget gins are made this way. The costlier but arguably tastier way to make gin is to redistill the alcohol after botanicals have been added. This is how small craft producers and many of the big brands make their spirits, and the gin method discussed in this article. So redistilling the alcohol after adding botanicals. So what you're doing is you're going to buy a great big vat of alcohol. You're going to add in your botanicals, which is like your juniper berries and your flavours, the raw materials. The neutral alcohol used for gin making is highly concentrated ethanol, which by law must be of agricultural origin. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Where'd you get your highly concentrated agricultural ethanol from? What's agricultural about ethanol? I didn't know gin started at agricultural level. In fact, I'm going to have to get a new window because I didn't envisage I was going to dig so deeply into this, but agricultural ethanol. Going to need to know about agricultural ethanol now. Agricultural ethanol now. It's all agricultural ethanol these days. It is, though, agricultural ethanol. Ethanol made from biomass. Fermenting sugar in the starches of grain, corn, sorghum and barley. Ethanol. Biorefinery, fermenting sugars into alcohol. It's like a great big... oh, look. 96% pharmaceutical agricultural ethanol. That might come back into the conversation a little bit later. Pharmaceutical agricultural ethanol. Starting to get some big words going on, aren't we? What's pharmaceutical agricultural ethanol? It's agricultural ethanol, purified. What's that for? Manufacturing products in the, like, antiseptics, drugs, liniments, oils, anything pharmaceutical. That's interesting. We might come back to that. So we've got our really strong alcohol that we bought off an agricultural origin producer. It's normally grain, but they could use it from grapes somewhere else. It's grains, isn't it? But then you sugar refine it, blah, blah, blah. You get 96% alcohol by volume. Have you ever drunk alcohol? Anyone in the chat? I mean, this is a bit. I know. I'm telling you, this is going to be about Nicola Bulley. I started it with the gin bar. I'm going to get back to Nicola Bulley at the end, and it's going to get fucking dark and serious. So, you know, stick with this. Have you ever drunk alcohol? Chat. Have you ever drunk alcohol? I would not advise it. I used to do it. I was brought up in a culture where it was commonplace. You know, at 13, I was at a family barbecue and someone said, do you want a beer? You know, not awful child abuse, but, you know, let him have a sip of beer, you know, silly things like that. At like 15, 16, I was at the pub with my dad and, you know, having a pint or a half pint or going to the football and having a can of beer. Like, it's normal in the UK for us to get drinking early. I'm not going to say it's not normal. Anyway, it's not child abuse or nothing. My parents are good parents. Just like alcohol was like commonly normally around the house because everyone drinks, don't they? So when I grew up and got a bit older, I went to the pub, started going to the pub. That was normal. And then when I had my own business later on, I was going to the pub an awful lot. My own business started to suffer. And I said to myself, hang on, this alcohol is getting out of control. I'm drinking so much of it that I'm spending more time on the drinking the alcohol side of things and less time on the feeling good. So I decided to stop it completely. And I haven't drunk any alcohol for nearly 10 years now. So big ups, Jane. You're right. You're right. Big ups, Jane. You're right. Gaynor Lord did work on a gin counter as a retail assistant. She certainly did. Study group, you see. Study group. So you drunk alcohol, yeah? You've drunk alcohol. Have you ever drunk 96% alcohol by volume? For a start, I'm just going to ask you that. No. What would it do to you? What would it do to you if you had a shot of 96? It'd burn you. What would it do if you drank out 96? It'd fuck you right up, wouldn't it? That'd fuck you up. Like, it's too strong. So what we're going to do? Well, first of all, we're going to add all these ingredients. We've got juniper berries. They're important because they add these little... Look at it's all chemistry. I'm not that clever. You're the study group. It's chemistry. You can tell because it's got all those little pictures. Musty, spicy, woody, lemony, borny. Oh, these are all terpenes. Terpenes. They're like flavoured things that come out of the juniper when you put it through the process. It's chemical. It's chemical, man. You add the neutral alcohol. You just buy it in, agricultural. And then what you do is you redistill it with all this stuff to make it taste nice like gin, right? You could age it in barrels. You could do whatever you want. Apart from water and ethanol, the only other raw materials used for gin making are neutral flavourings like botanicals. The predominant flavour is always juniper. This is true of London gin. This is what we're talking about. You know, juniper, it's gin, isn't it? But you can put, if you want, you could make a specialist gin, right, with your gin bar, with your millions of gins. Look. Oh, the watering hole. If you want, you could. That's why there's 100 gins there, is because you could have like a specialist gin made with like cactus, or a specialist gin made with like old socks. You can just put anything in the distiller and then it's a special gin. And loads of people are turning to this. I'll tell you who's turning to this a lot. Is people who used to run agriculture farms, animal agriculture farms, and now they're second generation, third generation, maybe longer, but this generation doesn't want to do cattle farming or sheep farming or dairy farming or whatever. What they want to do is turn the farm into like a wedding venue or a gin distillery or like, you know, something else. So, and they have to do that because it makes it increasingly more difficult in the UK to export your animals live for them to be slaughtered. We looked at it in the Nikki Bulley video. Do you remember? So, big ups my angel life. Yeah, no, it was a decision I made, and it was hard to stick by it in the first few weeks because everything around you in society is so, you know, centered around alcohol. Like, all of my mates go and drink at the pub all the time. So at first I was like, ugh. But then after a while I thought, no, I'm actually quite happy with my choices. Gin has been the ruin. Gin was mother's ruin, wasn't it? And there was a famous painting, wasn't there? Because gin actually was like a proper, like, addicted. Everyone was on gin. It was like it's not in recent times. There's a painting. That's what it's called, Mother's Ruin, isn't it? The painting or something. Gin Lane. It's called Gin Lane. And there's all these people. It's like the equivalent of heroin today. Something worth thinking about. Anyway, so gin, right? We're making gin. So you mix it all up, you get your stuff, but you have to put it through these big chuckers. What are these doing? What are these doing? What's going on here? We're distilling. We're a distillery now. Okay, we're a distillery. And then you distill it, and then you get your bottles. Lovely gin. Okay, well, what's distilling then? I need to know. You know, I'm not just cookie preferences. Sod off. I'll accept the cookies on this page just for this, whatever. Right. Look, I need to know. I'm doing an investigation. I'm an investigator. I'm just a chuffer on the internet. I just need to know. I'm not a detective. I'm not an investigator. Distillation doesn't produce alcohol. It merely concentrates it. Well, we've got a really strong alcohol anyway, haven't we? Potable alcohol is a liquid called ethanol. Because ethanol boils at a lower temperature than water, two liquids can be separated by evaporation. So by heating the wash in an enclosed environment and capturing the vapours, you can concentrate the alcohol by boiling it off. Okay? Ethanol is a potable alcohol, yeah, boils at a certain boiling point. So what you're saying is, right, what we're saying is, and study group, you know, it gets a bit complicated sometimes. What we're saying is, where's the picture of the tanks? Show me the picture of the tanks. There's the picture of the tanks. We're going to boil it up in these tanks, right? In these big tanks. If you're a craft distillery like this, you might have smaller tanks, big tanks, small tanks. You know, what did Hitler say before the men got in the tanks? Men, get in the tanks! Anyway, look, you get your little tank, you're boiling that up, and what's happening is the hot air that comes out has got the vapour, it's got the strong alcohol vapours, so you section off things as at different temperatures. So if you boil it at a lower temperature, you get certain stuff come off, and as you go through the boiling process, heating it up and changing the temperature, different things come off, and you bottle them up. And there's your gin. You could put it all in the big tank, mix it all up, but then you process it off, don't you? You distill it. That's what it's called. It's called distillation because literally it's evaporating and then distilling and coming back down the pipe as vapor. Yeah, sorry, as it's turning from water, from liquid into vapor, and then from vapor back into liquid, and then you're bottling it off. So during that process, you get what's called the heads. These are the foreshots. They're volatile, low boiling point alcohols given off at the start of distillation, like acetaldehyde. Right now, study group. I'm looking at you in chat, you chuffers. Study group, right? What's acetaldehyde? It's a product produced by plants, apparently. Major contributor to the severity of hangovers. Pungent, fruity odour. You probably want to burn that off, don't you? CH3HO or whatever. Acetone. I've heard of acetone. You don't want to drink acetone, do you? In chat, study group, do you want to drink acetone? It's probably going to fuck you up. It's produced by plants as well. Well, it's a flammable liquid with a boiling point, or is it produced by... Anyway, look, it's a flammable liquid with a boiling point of 56 degrees. It's an old German word. It's a cleaning solvent. It's the active ingredient in nail polish remover. You don't want to drink that, do you? You don't want to drink that. Scott's top tip, don't drink acetone. But if you've got a great big jug of, like, industrial alcohol and you're distilling it, which is what we're doing to make the gin, yeah, you're going to get this acetone, aren't you? It's going to come off. Big ups, Paul Taylor. Thank you for supporting the working on it. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. We do have the Coffee's Tippy system on. I don't know if it's glitched today because I... Just on live while we did it, I changed the picture and I might have fucked it up in some way. But it will read it out and there will be a picture of a lady drinking gin. And I'm not promoting Aldi or gin, but it's just a funny advert. Thank you very much, Paul. So you're not going to want to drink the acetone. That's got to go in the bin. Or if you're a distiller, you're probably going to distill it off. I don't know how much of this you're going to get. Bear in mind, I'm Scotty Hottie. I'm not a distiller. So I don't know, you're going to get less of this than you are gin, aren't you? This is just the bit at the start that you get rid of. It's the rubbish. So you're going to get, but, Scotty Hottie, like, do you want to throw it in the bin or pour it down the toilet? Or do you want to bottle it up and sell it to, like, I don't know, someone who needs acetone? Who did we say needs acetone? Who needs that? Well, I don't know, it's a solvent. So maybe, industries that use solvents. Esters, they come off. They're fruity aromas. They're inoffensive, sweet odours. They're actually desirable. So you want the esters. I don't know what you're going to do, how to separate your esters, but you might want them. But acetate, really close. It hangs around in the esters. You've got to deal with that. Methanol. I've heard of methanol. Again, I don't think we should drink methanol, should we? Methanol, known as methyl alcohol. Methyl and ethanol are like brothers and sisters. Their molecules cling on to each other. So despite their different boiling points, they're notoriously hard to separate during distillation. This is the craft of gin, right? However, it's imperative methanol is separated and discarded because it's very bad for the liver and it can blind you. It's the one it's acetone in tomato juice. Look, no one should drink acetone. You use acetone at work as a fiberglass factory. Big ups Acoustic Gymnastics, so you know a bit more about this. This is what I'm saying about study groups. Like, I know a little bit about this, but like, I don't handle these things on a day-to-day basis. But I'm pretty sure that you don't want the acetone in your eye, right? Pretty sure you don't want to be drinking the methanol. So they distill this off at the start, yeah? So you're boiling this up and it's coming off and you're getting rid of it. Or if Acoustic Gymnastics Acoustic gymnastics. If acoustic gymnastics needs it, you bottle it off and you fucking sell it to them, don't you? So like when you're doing your gin distillery business, you've probably got like, look, here on the table they've got all sorts of bottles and stuff. You're not going to pour it straight into the bin, are you? Like, you're going to bottle it off, you're going to sample it. This is still acetone, there's methanol in this one. We're getting to the good bit now, we're getting to the gin. So you're going to collect it. The heart or the spirit, we know what this is. The heart or the spirit, don't we? The heart, the spirit. This is the gin. This is the alcohol. Get it down you, cause yourself liver damage and alcoholism. Get it down here. But this is the main bit. I don't have to read this bit out to you, do I? Big ups, Wendy. You think this is a great subject. Thank you for the super chat. Wait till later on when I start to say some fucking dark things and it gets fucking dark and weird. How about that? Because it's gonna. Ethanol, right? That's an alcohol. You drink that. Yum, yum. That's what you want. That's gin. So you bottle it off and you make your gin. Don't you? You make your gin. Lovely gin. So nice, in fact, gin, that everyone loves it and drinks it. You can start a business at a farm that used to be a dairy farm and you can turn it into a gin farm. And you even agricultural produced methanol. And it's all connected, isn't it? All the farming and all that. So gin. And then you can sell it at your wedding venue or stock it at your wedding venue. I don't know. She seems to make money off the weddings, Emma White, doesn't she? But she's got fucking loads of gin. Like so much gin that I've never seen anyone with any more gin. Like, it's like she's collecting gin or got loads of friends in gin distilleries all around. I don't know if she sells it at the bar or if it's just she's got loads of it. But she seems to have loads and loads of gin. It seems like for someone, like she's either a gin fanatic or like, and if you're that into it, big ups BCTV. Good to see you. Big ups BCTV. Big chuffer jet, big chuffer. If you like gin and you're really into it, you might know a bit about the process and the people that make it and the craft distilleries, the gin clubs. She might be in the gin club, the Black Gin Club. It might be something like that. Who's running the Black Gin Club? I don't know. It's something that's on our study group thing and not an official fact yet. But like the gin clubs of the nation must be in connection with the gin producers of the nation in order to offer special offers. And we've got to ship that gin around the country as well. That gin's got to get moving. Hell, you might even want to sell it abroad. It's one of those Britain's craft products that you can probably get this is not facts, this is study group shit now, but you can probably get one of those like national lottery grants to help you sell it abroad as a like special British, craft product or something. Big ups. I am the super chuffer. I do chuff. I chuffed and you loved it. Get on with it, says Catherine. Yeah, you get on with it, you stupid. You do it then. Right, you do it, Catherine. You're in charge. We'll let Catherine do it. Oh, no, wait. You're just fucking writing in the comments and I'm doing a show, so let me get on with it then. I had to read your comment out. It took ages. Sorry, Catherine. I'm sure that we'll be big friends, really. If you didn't just enter into my room and shout, get on with it. We could have started off on a better foot. Right, I'm only joking. We're big friends, really. Okay, Emma White loves the gin. We know Emma White loves the gin. And we know Paul's got the gin up there, yeah? And we're on to distilling the gin. The tails. The tails. What's this? Tails? Not talking about poor animals, am I? No, I'm talking about faints. These alcohols and other substances have low high points and are given off at the end of distillation. So we're going back to study group. 1-propanol. CH3CH2CH2OH. That's chuthra. Is it carbohydro, oxohydro or something? It's formed naturally in small amounts during the fermentation process. Small amounts, but its boiling point of 97 degrees. So as you boil this stuff, the first stuff comes off first. The rubbish, you want to throw it away and sell it, acetone, whatever. That's come off easy at the start. You get to the gin, you start bottling up the gin. Lovely. And then as this shit comes through, you've got to stop. You don't want that in your gin. It's used as a solvent. Oh, who's this again? The pharmaceutical industry. It's them again. We talked about them a minute ago. They came up already. And it's one of alcohol distillers, the alcohols distillers referred to by the pejorative term, fusel oils. That's bad. Pejorative means bad. They don't like it. right? They don't like this. They don't want that in the gin. They want to get rid of it. So as the gin's bottled, you come to your last bottle of gin and you think, whoa, this one smells a bit funny. I don't know what they do. They have a test. This last bottle is not good. Throw that bottle away. No more bottles of gin coming out. We're down to this stuff. Butanol alcohol, or butyl alcohol, occurs naturally as a result of the fermentation. Again, fusel oils, boiling point of 118 degrees, so you're going to have to boil this up to get this off. Banana-like solvent odour. I think, again, I don't think you're going to want to drink that. Amyl, I've heard of that. Amyl nitrate has come, oh, it turns to stew. Oh, what happened to Suede? They were good, weren't they? Alcohol, that's a boiling point again. Sharp, burning taste, fusel oil. Fusel alcohols, that's the whole thing. They're not very nice. Bad liquor. Fusel oils. We also get acetic acid. Carboxylic acid. Sour pungent. And furfural. And again, you're not going to want any of this stuff. This stuff's going to mess you up, yeah? This stuff's going to mess you up. It's going to mess you up. You don't want any of that. In fact, you probably get it in small volumes at the end of the process. It's like left in the thing at the end. Like you could probably boil it off, carry on the process to separate them out. If you wanted, you could probably just boil off the ipropanol, the 1-propanol, 97 degrees, get that in a bottle. Maybe this stuff's just useless. But propanol, 1-propanol, that's not useless. That's used in the pharmaceutical industry. And the pharmaceutical industry have got lots of money, so I think you want to bottle that up. That's my guess. I'm glad we've learned about gin. We haven't learned all about it yet. What about juniper berries? Which one do you want first? Juniper berries or propanol? Juniper berries or propanol? I wonder if I should come to the Nicola Bulley angle first now, or if I should, like, just allude to it a little bit. Well, I'll allude to it a little bit, just saying, you know, propanol. Like, in Nicola Bulley's autopsy... Yeah, I'll allude to it now, and then we'll come back to it later. In Nicola Bulley's autopsy, okay, and this is something, again, this is study group time. Scotty Hottie needs a study group. Propanol. 1-propanol. You get that from gin. It's a colourless solvent, right? But what's this? What's this? Study group me up, please. Propanolol. A beta blocker found in Nicola Bulley's system in the autopsy. Right? Is there any propanol involved in propanolol? Well, the formula for propanol is C3H8O. Or the expanded formula is C3CH2C2O. Chthruchtuho. But isn't the formula for propan? See, I'm getting confused, aren't I? Wait, I've got so many windows open now. Didn't I say over here at the tails we got C3C2CH2O? Chthruchtuho. Oh no. Oh no, because I'm not a chemist, you know, and I'm just a chuffer on the internet. What am I going to say now? Well, I might be an idiot, hey? I'm an idiot then. It looks like the same thing. But it can't be the same thing because this is a beta blocker that Nicola Bulley... Wait, that's propanol formula. Propanolol. That's me being an idiot. C16... H21NO3. Sorry, propanolol is not the same. Oh, I got it wrong. I'm an idiot. You see, study group me up. I'm an idiot. Propanolol is not the same. It's C16H21NO2. Right? Oh, thank God for that. It's not the same. It's not the same. Question, study group question, right? I thought you had you on there. It's not the same. That's what I thought, first of all. Propanolol, it's the same, isn't it? No. Study group question: can you make propanolol utilizing propanol? I don't know. I'm not a genius.
Propranolol. First, we'll see the structure of propranolol. It is having the parent one as propanol, that is hydroxy group is attached in second position. That's why it is 2-propanol or propanol. And first carbon is connected with isopropyl amino group, and the third carbon is connected with the naphthalene and with oxygen, that is naphthyl oxy.
I'm not a genius, but I can read the word propanol on the screen there. I don't know how to add the isopropyl. I don't know how to do that. I can see propanol on the screen. Study group. Propanolol. Propanol. Next question. Study group. Write this down. If I take a propanolol, the beta blocker, if I take the beta blocker, yum yum, how do you know that I've taken it when you do my testing on my blood and stuff? How do you know that? Like, what is it in my system that you find that says propanolol? It's not the packet, is it? I didn't wrap it up. It's not those little, when you take a tablet and it's got it's in a little capsule. The capsule dissolves. It doesn't stay there. So you'd have to find the markers in my blood, yeah? Maybe a question study group, something I don't actually know, is that the acetone, we're going to sell that off to the pharmaceutical company, and we're going to come back to the pharmaceuticals a bit later. But the acetones at the heads, we're talking about the tails now. The tails, really. Like the tails are the more important. Well, everything's important. Propanolol, if I take a beta blocker, this is the point where I get to the end of my investigation, and I can't do the video and make the connection here, but I just feel in my bones that if you were doing a test on someone and you found propanol in their system and they'd been taking propanolol, that you might report that it was a marker for the propanolol breaking down in the system. That's a guess. I don't know it. Okay, but what I do know is that propanolol that was found in Nicola Bulley, well, they reported in the autopsy, didn't they? Like in the toxology report, no toxology in terms of alcohol. And we looked at it carefully. We looked at that aspect of it. Study group again, no, not showing you any pictures, but because we were all thinking they said that Nicola Bulley drinking and Nicola Bulley alcohol. So when it came back with the toxology report that alcohol wasn't in her system, we thought that's good. But they did say about this beta blocker, and we all sort of said, well, she was on the beta blockers, but didn't she discontinue them a year ago and then recently start taking them again or something? That's study group stuff as well. When did Nicola Bulley start and stop her medication? Officially, unofficially, I don't know. But finding it in her system on the autopsy, it's getting very complicated, Steve, yeah? Well, basically, to make it clear and crisp for this bit, the autopsy found propanolol in Nicola Bulley's system, and I found a link between gin and propanol, which is used in the production of propanolol. I don't know if in your system, when propanolol breaks down, you get propanol or not. I don't know, but this is getting deeper here. Propanol in the tails. Propanol 2 is in the tails. They've got gas chromatography. This is where I was going to study group. I don't know if I need this page, actually. They're talking this is a forum where they're talking really deeply about, as you can see from this chart, 1 propanol is consistent throughout the run with a pot still. 1 propanol has a boiling point of 97, so in theory it should be even later tails than 2 propanol. But as you see, this is clearly not the case, and maybe 2 propanol is consistent throughout the run as well. If you use a pot still, everything will smear together as part of the flavour profile. As soon as the output goes below azeotrope ethanol, you get some propanol in the product. They're talking all about it. So there's a bit of extra. which I'm not going to go too deep into. I can't close that window because I want to keep it open because it's got details on it and stuff. But following that, I was able to find this. So I'm looking at 1 propanol and 2 propanol exist. We've got propanolol in Nicola Bulley's system. I can't put, there's like a link in a chain there that I can't do because I'm not a, I don't know what markers and what tests they use to prove that propanol is in Nicola Bulley's system. And if they, if they use a test that says we found propanol broken down, which must be broken down from the propanolol, you could be poisoned with propanol. What would happen? What would happen? We report a patient who simultaneously ingested a lethal dose of propanol as a hand disinfectant in hospital. The patient lost consciousness and stopped breathing within half an hour after ingestion. He was intubated and artificially ventilated. Initial laboratory tests show mixed acidosis with elevated anion gap, but it's getting complicated there. Ketonuria appeared after 12 hours after admission and 6 hours following the regaining of consciousness. What happens if you ingest propanol is it acts on you like an alcohol would, but at a very accelerated level. It'd be like you had drunk the strongest drink. What happens with propanol poisoning? Respiratory depression, coma and death. That's at a high level, you know. We'll come back to this, I think. We'll come back to this. That's propanol. Was it in Nicola Bulley's system or was it propanolol? I want to talk about juniper berries. I want to come back to some. I'm going to come back and show you another thing on a little bit of a video that's going to be like, whoa, got another connection with Nicola Bulley coming up. Another connection that's going to be a bit more like, whoa. I'm not saying she drank spiked gin, no bizzle. I'll connect that dot a bit later because otherwise we don't talk about berries and it doesn't make any sense, the berries bit. Like, so we got to do berries now. Well, actually, there was another graph that I wanted to show you, wasn't there? Where's that? This graph I want to show you before we move on to berries. This moves us into berries. What's this? Amphetamine, exylhexadrone, CMC, ecstasy. It sounds like all the best things in Rice Krispies. It's like the side of the box of Rice Krispies, isn't it? No, these are illicit street drugs. They're bad. Some of them. All of them like this are bad because what's this graph showing you? These pie charts, they're showing you what they're cut with. And they are cut with all sorts of shit. If you're buying amphetamine off the street, you've got 75% cut. Amphetamine is cut with, the things, what they've done is they've taken samples of drugs and they've said, what are the cutting agents people use? And then these are the cutting agents. So 75% of all cutting agents with amphetamine is caffeine. All this other stuff is in there. Same with ecstasy and all this other stuff. Basically, to cut a long story short, propanol and some of those other tails and things like that, acetone, you know, stuff like that, propanone or something, right? All these funny names, they come up. The reason I've got this open is because they come up in this, used as cutting agents or found. Like it's. Let me just do this. Control F. Found they. Can I do Control F? Propanone. Propanol, 1-phenol, 1-propanol. It's listed on this big list. Look, it's in this big list. It's a stupidly big list of all sorts of fucking complicated chemical things, yeah? But if you're doing the tests on the street drugs and you're saying what else is in them other than what's supposed to be in them, well, this stuff's in them. And it's in all of the different kinds of drugs, or majority of the different kinds of drugs, in small trace, not like caffeine where it's used a lot, but in smaller bits. But it's found, okay? It's on the list. So that's that graph. That's that graph. We can go back to berries now. We can go into the safe world of berries, and then we'll go into the murky world of what the fuck were they doing with Nicola Bulley in just a minute, okay? Right. I'm going to blow your mind at the end. I'm going to show you something, two things, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't like this. And then some people will say, oh, you didn't blow my mind, you didn't solve nothing. And I'll have to just leave it in the air like a bad smell, because I can't, like, I'm not the police and I haven't got investigative powers, and I'm not going to be like, and this is the one that done it. I'm just going to be like, you know, what do you think about this? So anyway, look, juniper berry. Juniper berry. We want them. Where do juniper berries come from? Question for study group. Where are we getting our juniper berries from? We're going to make gin. We're going back to gin. Juniper berries. They sound nice, don't they? They sound really British and like sort of woodlandy, don't they? Nice juniper berries. Should we buy them from the Whole Foods market? Buy Whole Foods. Where do you get gin berries? Where do you get your gin berries? Big ups Lev Kung Chao. Big up Shaolin. Big up Scouse Mouse. Can I put them in a fruit salad? Nah. Got to pick all the tomatoes out first. A shop, yeah, but where do they come from? Where's their country of origin? Gin berries, juniper berries. What do you think of when you think of juniper berries? Where are you getting your juniper berries from? You know, if you've got to start making gin, we're a gin distillery here, and we're going to be like, you know, craft gin. So where are we going to source our juniper berries? You tell me. Where do you think we're going to source them? Come on, study group. I want to get you going. Hedgerows, like slow berries. We're going to need. We've sent all the we're sending all the illegal immigrants home or drowning them in the sea. We're not going to have any workers to do that. We've left the EU. You don't think the teenagers of British villages are going to want to go out picking juniper berries? Middle East, Thailand, Africa. Oh, we're getting. I thought everyone would just say, like, you know, England, France, or something. Like, you're getting some. Oh, look, some interesting ideas there now in Tesco's. Who said Tesco's? Right, well, I need to know about juniper berries. So this is what's wrong with me in my brain, why I can't sleep, what's wrong with my life. This is the juniper berry global analysis and forecast, right, for 2023 to 2029. It's all facts, I didn't do it, this is real, this is proper research. So the female seed clone produced by various species of juniper berries is a juniper berry. From the ripe fruit of juniper species, the juniper berry oil is derived, which includes Junipus foencina, Junipus communis and others. The juniper oil is generally used for the food and beverage business, where it's chiefly used as a flavouring agent in food cuisines. Besides these, there's also high demand for personal care, pharmaceutical, ding ding ding, and cosmetic goods owing to its therapeutic and antibacterial characteristics. Did you know that? It's used to treat various diseases such as bloating, digestive issues, gas, urinary problems and other ailments. In cosmetics and personal care goods, though, it's used as a bath oil, fragrance in soap, skincare products, hair care, etc. The report gives detailed information about the drivers, restraints and opportunities in the segmentation by type: juniper berries oil, powder, whole berries and powder tincture. So there you go. And the different applications: pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, beverages, cosmetics, desserts and confectioneries, personal care and other applications. Now look at this. The market size. Look at this. The key players. Who are the key players in the market size? Look at this. The market's growing. That's got big since 2022. It's almost doubled. The regional analysis: North America, massive. Europe, next biggest. Asia, they're doing it. Middle East and South Africa are doing it. And Africa and South America, we're all doing it. But mainly it's Americas and, you know, trading in these oils as well as the berries, as well as the, you know, all the stuff traded together. But look at the key players. Who are these key players? Key players. DJ Hype. DJ Zinc, True Players, Key Players. Sorry, I'm getting excited. NHR Organic Oils, Cantana Enterprises, Mountain Rose Herbs, Guangzhou Chumu Trading, Floriana Distillery, there's a distillery, Zhang Biao Chao, lots of Chinese ones, Zhang Biao Chao Pharmaceutical, Innova International, Eden Botanicals, Essential Oils. There's a lot of oils, and I tell you what, there's a few big Chinese companies as well. It's a lot of oils that's going on though, because as they said, you can use the oils, you don't have to just use the powder, you can use the oils as well, so for food and everything. So oils is a big business. But look at this application segment overview. Who's at the top? Who's at the top? It's a bit small. Shall I make it bigger for you? Who's at the top of the tree in the old gin game? Who's at the top of the tree here in the old gin game? Pharmaceuticals. Again. Of all things. Then it's nutraceuticals. I don't know what nutraceuticals are. I think they're like... Can you study group me up the answer to what nutraceuticals are? I think nutraceuticals are like it's like supplements and stuff, isn't it? Pharmaceuticals are actual drugs you get from the doctor. Nutraceuticals are like when you go to Holland and Barrett and get the special like thing, yeah? You all good in the hood? Everyone actually, you all good? You all good in the hood? You're having a gin, we're doing a gin study group now. I've seen someone put some facts about gin berries in the thing. Thank you for that. Gin facts. So I was surprised to see the pharmaceuticals companies coming out massive at the top there, because I thought berries were quite... I didn't know. You know, I thought that gin berries, juniper berries, were just like a sort of like uncommon ingredient that's used in a very small amount of foods. Gin, obviously, not much else. You get them out of hedgerows in the UK. I was like you in chat, the one that said hedgerows. I thought it was a very small, naive, like little industry. And I thought that, you know, gin production obviously is big, so they probably grow them somewhere. But like, really, it's like, who's needing juniper berries? Well, absolutely, the pharmaceuticals need loads of them, as we've seen from the production of the stuff as well. The pharmaceutical companies are involved in the gin trade. Like, bear in mind, if we're going to be bottling up some gin, we're making some gin, then we're going to start by going to the agricultural ethanol producers who are working in conjunction with the pharmaceutical companies, because the pharmaceutical companies are their biggest they're probably I don't have the link there, but they're probably, you know, very close to pharmaceutical companies in that they're their biggest, like they're doing pharmaceutical sort of grade production of a fucking chemical. Yeah. Then we're going to buy that off them, and then we're going to go again to the pharmaceutical companies because we want our gin berries or our oil. We're going to be like, imagine the amount of gin stuff that's imported into the UK, like in terms of, like, if we're going to be buying some juniper berries and we want to go and buy them, do we go and buy them direct from source, or do we just go to a pharmaceutical company and say, hey, got loads of fucking gin berries, have you? Yeah, millions of them, yeah. We just need a little bit of some of them, and thanks. We've also got some of these like phenol, what was it called? Propanol. We've got some bottles of propanol. Do you want them? Like, it seems natural you would do a trade. Anyway, not like, you know, not that I know what goes on in the trade, but it's just really interesting to me that the juniper berry market, you know, is dominated by pharmaceutical companies. So they've got higher market value. Organic berries have got a higher market value. Talking about shelf lives and forcing the use of preservatives to lengthen it. The biological quality of the juniper berries is evaluated as a result of these findings. So organic berries are in high demand throughout the Middle East and the Arab Emirates, where consumers are more aware of the advantages of organic products. So in certain products, you're going to want the organic stuff, yeah? Weather variations have an impact on it. Climate change, blah, blah, blah. This is a report all about gin berries. So I'm just, you know, getting through it. But check this out. Turkey, what? Sorry, what? Turkey, which is situated in the Mediterranean region, a major producer of juniper berries. They're a major producer of juniper berries. The region's unpredictable weather is drastically reducing production output and increasing juniper berry market instability. So actually, in unstable markets, there's money to be made, I suppose, isn't there? I don't know. Turkey's juniper berry production has been damaged by the country's changing environment. Okay, fair enough. Turkey, a big producer of juniper berries, though, huh? This is different kinds of products: oil, powder, berries, and tincture. So powder is still a massive, it's like the bigger half of the market, powder. Oil, next big chunk. Tincture, that's mixing it with alcohol, strong alcohol. And whole berries. Look how it looks. Isn't this mad? You'd think that in the juniper berry market, that whole berries would make up the bigger part of the market, wouldn't you? Isn't this strange? It is strange. I'm telling you, it's strange. It's not strange. It's what it is. But powder is the biggest thing. So the biggest market in juniper berries, like the biggest And when I say market, we're talking about hundreds of millions of pounds. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about pharmaceutical companies, nutraceutical companies. By the time we get down to the little gin distillers, we're not talking about the big, we're talking about this list of big companies, of which some are like big pharmaceutical companies, like Jiangxi Biao Chao Pharmaceutical and whatever. Like, we can have a good look into those companies maybe another day, I suppose. But it's really interesting to me that the market for juniper berries is doubled over the last however many years. It's got bigger. There's a lot of money involved in it. Big pharmaceutical companies. The trade is mainly in powder. It comes from majority, the biggest that they've said is Turkey. So we're talking about a destabilized part of the world where just near Syria and all that, where all the war goes on. I mean, there's so much heroin that there's so much heroin, isn't there, that is grown in like all that area of the world, like Afghanistan and all that. And like, doesn't it come through that part of the world to get into Europe? And like, isn't brown powder fucking juniper berries? Isn't that going to look loads like heroin in big bags? Like, I don't know. Anyway, look, that's an aspect of it. We've got the juniper berries are coming in. We've got the juniper powder is coming in. And it's coming in mainly from Turkey. Turkey's the biggest market, that area. But yeah, it is a global thing. It is a global market. More can be understood and looked into. But what we can understand is that the big stakeholders in the industry, the big stakeholders are importing like, that's what's happening in the UK. The big pharmaceutical companies are having to import their juniper powder. They do it. They're the top people on the list. I'm not making it up. It's all there on the thing. It's not a small part of the pie. It's the main part of the pie. So for our UK juniper market, you could, like, this is a world global one, but you could sort of look at the UK one, which I don't have a graph of, and you could say, well, like, surely the biggest market drive in the UK for juniper is pharmaceutical companies bringing it in as powder, yeah, or potentially oil is the next biggest thing, big oils, okay? And it's ending, the propanol, that was the graph for that, we don't need to look at that, the propanol again. So now we've got big pharmaceutical companies, we've done propanol, we've done how the, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to go deep into the pharmaceutical companies right now, like looking into these other companies on Companies House and who's the director and all that business. I'm not going to do that now, right? But I would also like to just come back to this at this juncture. Do you remember the Nikki Bulley case solved? I said that animal rights was involved because they was trying to stop the shipments of the animals out of the country, and that it could be that they were using those shipments of animals out of the country to, mask. I didn't say it in the video, but I'll say it now. They could, back then in the 90s, have been using it to mask the shipment of illicit materials, because you pack up those lorries with the animals with illicit materials, the police ferry them out of the country, stop the protests, get rid of the protest, make sure these trucks can come through. So they're not going to hold them up at customs, are they? In fact, no, because they own the ports, these people that are shipping the trucks. They basically own all of the ports, so, they're sending them out through their own private little ports. Then they're ending up in Europe where the animals are being slaughtered. Is it not like people said, oh, you won't ship drugs out of the UK into Europe? You'd ship them into the UK from Europe, potentially. But cocaine production, study group now. Okay, now we're into we'll get to the cocaine production in a minute. But drugs that have been processed in the UK could be shipped back out into Europe, right? And these animal rights people fuck them up. And they don't just fuck up that, they fuck up big pharma, pharmaceuticals as well, because the pharmaceutical companies breed animals to test on them, don't they? So the animals are being tested on by them as well. And in the follow-on from, which it's my own fault here, I should have done more episodes about that, followed it up quicker and harder, and I do need to come back to it, but the follow-on from Nikki Bulley case solved was to look deeper into the animal rights protests of the late 90s and early 2000s, because they criminalised them. All the animal rights people got told they were criminals and they got put in prison, and then the pharmaceutical companies can carry on with what they're doing. This is a protected industry, protected now by law, protected against from the animal rights people, allowed to go about their business with impunity. You can't even fly a drone over the place, So the pharmaceutical companies have this protection. They're wrapped up in what I was talking about in Nikki Bulley case solved, in the export of the animals, the animal rights connection is there. The processing of chemicals and all that. You know, like, you see how I'm making these connections, yeah? So animal rights is a connection. The protesters is a connection. The Nicola Bulley case Soul video, the animal rights protesters holding up the lorries, whether Ernie Bulley was the man in the lorry, it looked, I mean, I'm going on video evidence. I'm sorry, members of the jury. I just say what I see. Looked like him in the truck. He was a truck business back then. Like, he's got a, you know, we'll get on to, do I need to explicitly say those things? Like Ernie Bulley's current company, Essex Freight Services, isn't actually listed as a transport company on Companies House, strangely. But, you know, I've done that video. I've shown you those connections. That video exists. So this now, pharmaceutical companies, animal rights, that was that video. But this video, we're talking about Nicola Bulley, Juniper, gin, aren't we? Poisoning with propanol. The markets. I want to talk, okay, this is where I want to talk about how cocaine production works. But I don't have a video for it. I'll tell you why. This is a study group again. Take notes, you know, help me out here. What's this one? Pharmaceutical, agricultural, ethanol we've looked at. Cocaine, okay. Cocaine processed into boats and products. Do you think, have you heard of cocaine being turned into things like plates, cups, books? Not hiding it in something, but turned into something. So it's like a canoe or a boat. I heard they were pressing it into boats, and literally they were rowing the boats across, and it was the actual boat was made out of it. Have you ever heard that? I'm not just talking about bringing the cocaine in by bricks. I'm talking about, have you ever heard about turning it into you know, and they get it and they say, well, where's the cocaine in this teapot? And they go, it is the teapot. You know what I mean? Have you ever heard about that? Everyone's saying no. Am I just tripping? They turned it into paint, says Blank Faces. You've heard of that then. They turned it into paint. They turn coke into liquid and ship it. Liquid infused materials. I've heard, I'll tell you where I've heard it off the top of my head. It's one of these guys who does the podcasts. I should have had this ready, you see. This is why I didn't do it as a video, because I haven't got everything. You know, I haven't got everything. But one of these guys, I think it was this Posh Pete guy. I think he's talked about it, how they like can do anything with it and turn it into anything, you know. Obviously, we're all used to seeing these big bricks, aren't we? But this is where the true, you know, I'm not tripping. They can turn it into stuff. This is where a study group, you know, this is where a study group. I'm not a chemist. Do you know what I mean? But I've got this video about how they make it.
So they've been doing this.
This video is obviously going to get copyright because it's National Geographic. So I'm going to turn off the sound for a start. They've got the cocaine leaves and they're mashing them up with chemicals, with salt or whatever. With what was that? I think it's bleach they put in. With salt, no, bleach, yeah, salt. There's a spider. They mash it all up, they get it all, and then they put it in these, all right, give me the history of cocaine. They put it in these, like, look, it's all chemicals. Look what they got. They got all bleach and stuff. And they're pouring it in. It's all chemicals. Do you remember earlier we talked about acetone coming off the, someone said, when's acetone, Vicky, wasn't it, said, when's acetone coming back into it? Acetone, bleach, ammonia, chemical processes. I don't know exactly the process for making cocaine, yeah, and I'm also probably not going to broadcast the exact, I don't know what, I mean, this is off YouTube, it's National Geographic, but I don't want to get my thing copyright struck and, you know, demonetized. All you chuffers, I hope there's no adverts today, I've turned them down to minimum. People said the adverts were on a lot last time. I've looked at the settings and I've turned them, I've still got them on, but I've turned them down to minimum. The weakest possible advertising structure you can have. But look, it gets concentrated into a liquid like this, doesn't it? And then they put this ammonia in and it turns it into what you would recognise as cocaine, and then it has to be, at the end of this, they all have to run away because someone comes, because it's National Geographic and it's exciting. But like, there it is in there. Yeah. Did you know that cocaine in the UK is smuggled in here from Cornwall? Ooh, get me some. It's all come from South America, hasn't it? So it comes across the Atlantic from South America. So they do this, then they put it on boats and shit and ferry it out to the rest of Europe. And it comes across the Atlantic, doesn't it? Cocaine smuggling routes. We need to get to the bottom of whether they can turn... I mean, I think we are at the bottom of whether they can turn it into stuff. I think they can turn it into stuff. But... like this image is interesting, isn't it? Because this big arrow here that goes across to Europe, well, you'd think they just go straight into Europe, but Britain is the first port of call to Europe. You could start at Portugal, Spain, or Britain. If you go through to France, you're passing us by. Like, that's why we have a load of trade. That's why Britain, the empire, the boats, you know, the empire. Like, that's what we're about, isn't it? The shipping routes. So we are the shipping route for the drugs. Okay, it can come into Africa and then get into Europe as well. It doesn't look like cocaine is coming from this part of the world. The brown powder comes from this part of the world and comes this way. But the cocaine comes this way, doesn't it? So certain powders, like heroin, if you're on a drugs trade, you might want to get heroin to come. You know, if you're doing drug trade, you might want all the drugs, I don't know. But the heroin comes that way, doesn't it? It comes from this part of the world and goes that way into Europe. But so if you're getting heroin into the UK, you're relying on that European route. But if you're getting cocaine into the UK, you're relying on this route. And then potentially Europe, look, you've come all the way over this sea and you want to say that people aren't going to cross the border into Europe from the UK. Not going to cross north into where, like, all of those routes into Europe from the UK, they're all routes that the drugs would take to get them into Europe because that's the bigger market than just the UK. Plus, they're the routes that they use for the animal agriculture. So there you go. Wash it with a wash and it breaks down. Right. So, cocaine running around my brain. I got cocaine. If you're watching, don't take cocaine. It's bad. If you're watching. But I'm saying, and I believe it to be true, and I don't think I'm a nutter, that you can make things out of cocaine. Like, make things out of cocaine. It's not going to show me, is it? It's like... I'm sure that I've seen it on the telly of like the smuggling operations. They're like, you know, I swear they turn it into rowing boats and shit like that. And they're like, well, there's no cocaine in this lorry. And they're like, but everything's made out of cocaine. Like, they're not going to show it, are they? They're just going to show all these stupid pictures of cocaine. This is one of the problems with the internet these days, is Google is just going to give me the most obvious answer. And like, there's so many things about cocaine that you're not going to find so much about what I'm talking about. It's a bit more of a specific thing, but we've got this aspect of it, right? Because I'm saying Nicola Bulley's in trouble. Okay, so I'm saying Nicola Bulley's in trouble on Nicola Bulley Case Solved. Should we watch a little bit of that again? No, you can watch it. Nicola Bulley Case Solved. I'm saying that potentially drug smugglers are shipping drugs through the I'm saying it. No, I'm showing you now. That's how it works, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm saying that if Nicola Bulley is in some way brushed up against that world, then she could be vulnerable, not because she's doing bad things herself, but because she's a vulnerable person that they could grab hold of. So if you don't pay your debt, or if you don't do the shipping they want, or, you know, if you've been involved in it for a long time, or maybe even, like, you know, if you've got a reputation from the past and someone's found out who you are and, you know, you've changed your identity or anything, yeah? Like, you're the vulnerable, Nikki's the vulnerable one. She's the daughter of someone who, in the 90s, was in an area, we'll come to this now, I suppose, in the 90s was in an area that was very dangerous in lots of different ways. So, where's my video for this? I literally had it here. Do you know about this? Have you heard? Do you have you heard about this? A lot of you are going to say yes.
Organised crime and the inside story of a death that shocked the nation. Tonight, the question that 2 trials have so far failed to answer: who sold the ecstasy tablet that killed Leah Betts. Dispatches goes on his trail with exclusive evidence from this man, doorman at the club where the drug was bought. Tonight for Dispatches, reporter Alex Thompson explores the criminal underworld of Essex.
Ooh.
Revealing the links between one notorious gang and those who guarded the door.
Ooh. Oh, that seems all true crimey sort of stuff, isn't it? That's what I'm like, true crime adjacent. Big ups. Thank you, Steve, for the £1. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I actually really do. Like, I appreciate it just as much as someone giving me £10. Although if you give me £10, I appreciate it 10 times more, obviously. But no, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Steve, for the super chat. Thank you. The dispatches here. Does anyone remember this? Anyone in chat? Anyone been on this? Like, some of you might be old school true crimers and stuff. Some of you might know about it. Anyone recognise this? Anyone know what this is? Anyone recognise this? This is the Essex Boys murders. These chuffers were shot by a shotgun. Not the guy that looks like he's fucking boxed out of his mind. He's still going. He's got an internet channel and everything. You know, this was big news on the true crime circuit. The Essex Boys murders. They were done by a shotgun. And the backstory to it, the world that they were working in, was the drug scene in the 90s, the 95 drug scene. Ecstasy was big. Leah Betts took a pill. She went home, she drank loads of water, she died. It wasn't the ecstasy that killed her, it turned out. But at the time, right, it was so bad that this young girl had died from ecstasy. They put it on all the news, and ecstasy was the big moral panic. That's the word for it, moral panic. And these chuffers, who had been making bank, having a good time, selling ecstasy, running clubs and having a great time, yeah, they all of a sudden were in the big trouble. Because the life was great for a while. Police were letting them get on with it. They were in the clubs doing it. They were, you know, the police can't do anything, can they? They run the clubs. They, in fact, have to just bounce along with these people. Were the police even involved? Essex Boys murders, bit of crime, geezer. That goes back. Let me just quickly for you. That goes back to East End boys. East End boys and West End girls, because the bad crime people, the faces, the craze, the gangsters, the mafia, they moved out to these new towns and controlled the new towns with their new wave of, like, you've got the new breed of faces and gangsters, and they controlled the drug crime out there, yeah? So you know that happened, didn't you? And that goes back, though. What do you mean it goes back again? You've already said it goes back to the Essex, from Essex to London. John Wedger! You know, to London. It goes back, though, doesn't it? It goes back further to the Falklands. To the Falklands, where soldiers that worked for the government in the Falklands that shot up a load of Argentinians. Bah, bah! Fuck you, Argentinians. Right on the cusp of South America, where all the cocaine comes from. Bop, bop, bop! Bop, bop, bop! And then they come home and they're like, oh, I don't know about doing normal life. I'm like, you know, probably going to do something slightly different to normal life. I might become a former soldier, security person, might work in security. I might work in the police. Might become like Peter Folding. Might join Peter Folding's crew. Mightn't I? Going around being like a private police force, like the SAS. Ex-SAS, private police force, policing protests and doing what the fuck we want. Might do that. Some of them might end up, you know, rotating around. That's deep, you know, that's deep shit. That's the Essex Boys murders. Okay? Now, Scott, are you going to connect Nicola Bulley to the Essex Boys murders? What? Well, not exactly, am I? Because the Essex stuff, like I said, Ernie Bulley is from there, is round that way. His company's there. Nicola Bulley grows up in this environment. Like, this took place in the 90s in the UK. Nicola Bulley grew up in Southwood and Ferrers, in that area, in the 90s in the UK, yeah? So, the guy on the right, scary looking, we're going to hear from him now. About this murder. I mean, how did these people get shot, these murdered people? How would someone go about doing a shooting of some... Like, they were in a Land Rover, they all ended up shot in a field. I don't want to show you the gory bits, but, you know, there's a famous shot of the back of the Land Rover. They all parked up in this field. Someone found them the next day. They've all been shot by a shotgun. Well, what's happened? And, like, you know, that's true crime. That's been on the internet for ages. Loads of people talk about it. You know, the true crime genre has been going for a while, but let's just listen to this. This is important because I need to, you know that Nikki's from this area. You know her family's from this area. You know that they've moved up to Lancashire. Yeah, and I'll tell you something, other people from this area that were involved in crimes back then, whether they be criminals, grasses, coppers, or just, people who got wrapped up from the wrong end or whatever, like a lot of people went away from here and moved away. Eddie used to live in this area, didn't he? Eddie's Vinyl Break.
Cold.
Bernard was told that one day 2 members of the firm picked Whittaker up. He owed them money and they were angry. Kevin Whittaker was in serious trouble. They headed out of town.
This is not the actual murders of the Essex Boys murders that everyone talks about. This is a different case that he's explaining about what they do to people.
In the car, the firm threatened to give him a forcible overdose of drugs.
It went from a threat to actually giving him drugs.
How?
He was injected 3 times in his right arm.
Do you know what he was being injected with?
Special K, which is a veterinary drug, and cocaine.
That's 3 injections of Special K and cocaine in your arm are going to fuck you right up, aren't they? And the story goes on. We can look into it deeper. I'm not the first true crime. I'm not a true crime channel. I'm true crime adjacent. But there are lots and lots of videos about this, and I have been looking into it a bit. And I think I don't know how I don't really think it's up to me to cover that because it's already covered, sort of thing. But I've got slightly different, more modern, things to say about it. Maybe I'm interested now. But the Essex Boys murders. This guy, as he says, they injected that dude with fucking ketamine and cocaine. Yeah, that's bad, isn't it? That's bad. Why am I talking about this? This ding 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 study group pinning the board. When I heard him say that, and I want to just boost it a little bit to make sure you've got it.
He was injected 3 times in his right arm.
Do you know what he was being injected with?
Special K, which is a veterinary drug, and cocaine.
A veterinary drug, did you say? A veterinary drug? What, like that vet that was disappeared, that murdered herself in a hotel room? Yeah, K, Special K. A veterinary drug. Obviously, veterinary, pharmaceutical, animals, animal trade, animals in the pharmaceutical industry. You need vets because they have to do the tests on the animals. They have to breed animals. They don't breed them themselves anymore. They have separate companies that aren't connected that breed them for them. You then have to put the animals in transports and take them there. You might have a special business that's got a name that's not animal agriculture or it's not transport. It might just be, another kind of business. And I don't know what you'd call that kind of business, but, I don't know who's mixed up in what, yeah? But, we're talking about injecting someone in the arm. So all this stuff, I want to bring it all together. This is my gin video. It's supposed to be 20 minutes. It's taken over an hour. I don't want to go on and on and on and on, I suppose, do I? I do feel like staying here for ages and chatting to you, and we can do more study group chat at the end, Q&A if you want. But the main point here is, are we talking about someone injecting someone with a drug so in this case, it was part of a process. They didn't want this guy dead, but he ended up dead. And it was part of a process of gangland kidnap, right? This particular guy.
You need that network to be set up for the eventual sale of the drugs, and the tentacles of that could fan out over an enormous area.
So Nicola Bulley, we're talking about propanol in her system. Nicola Bulley, we're talking about propanol in her system, yeah? Propanol, not propanolol. Oh, sorry, no, we're talking about propanolol. This is why I get so confused and I need help. We're talking about propanolol in her system from the autopsy report. Is it the case, I don't have the answer, is it the case that the marker for that is that you found propanol in her system? Propanol poisoning would mirror alcohol poisoning. You would look like you'd been poisoned by alcohol. If you didn't give someone a strong dose of propanol, if you didn't give them a strong dose, or the other end, the acetone, could you muffle someone with that? Would it knock them out? If you didn't give someone a strong dose of that, then would it knock them out, put them in a coma, sedate them? Would that happen? Respiratory depression, coma, and obviously death. Could you keep someone alive under duress? in a situation by giving them an injection. Those criminals certainly wanted to in that car that I just showed you. That guy that was talking about it, he certainly wanted to do that, didn't he? That's what they were doing. They were injecting someone. Nicola Bulley also had bruises, didn't she? She had bruises. And the bruises on the arm, basically, people suggested that that could be because of someone grabbed her. Someone's got hold of her physically. Yeah, you know, I agree. Could be. The bruises didn't happen after she died. Shout out if you want to sponsor me. The bruises didn't happen after she died. Because they can't, because they don't, you know, we know that, don't we? You don't bruise up after you're dead. So bruises on the arms could be manhandling of the arms, like a pinch, a grab. Could be that. But you could also get a bruise on your arm if someone injected you, couldn't you? You don't have to inject this stuff into the bloodstream. I've looked into this as well. You inject subdermally. So you inject underneath the skin layer and it will go into the system. Like, you can do that. So if you walked up to someone in a park or wooded area while they were walking their dog and you just went with the injector like that, then they're like in your control. They're having the worst drug experience they've ever had. They're suddenly as drunk as they've ever been. And anyone that saw them would assume they were really drunk. You could get them into a coma. You got 2 adverts. I've turned the adverts right down. Sorry about that, Kelly. I have literally turned them right down today. This mode of intoxicating someone with an injection is a commonly, like I just showed it to you, where's the video? A commonly, you know, this guy's describing it, Essex Boys murders from the 90s. So it's a known thing that they've done, yeah? Like, he's saying it. He's one of the people that was, like, you know, one of the bad people that was there, injecting people with this stuff. Injections require syringes. They require medical equipment. Now, you can just buy that from the shops, I suppose, can't you? But the pharmaceutical industry is connected with the importation of large amounts of juniper powder. They're importing large amounts of actual cocaine. This is not a, you know, I'm not faking that. Like, you know that the pharmaceutical company are legit allowed to import cocaine and other pharmaceuticals for their production of whatever they produce. Like, Novocaine's made out of cocaine. So, like, they're dealing with those large amounts of chemicals. The chemicals, like in the 90s, the drug trade, like, people were manufacturing ecstasy out of chemicals. So the chemicals themselves might not have been illegal, but the manufacture of the drugs by using the chemicals. We've seen how cocaine is produced using chemicals. We've talked about how cocaine can be manufactured into other products. So, like, if I connect this back up to gin, now's the time to show you something that's good. Like, I think this will blow. I thought that is a bit of a mind blower. Yeah, farmers have syringes, vets have syringes, don't they? Like, there's a lot of connections on the pinboard. This is study group. This isn't video where I've done it as 20 minutes and these are the damn facts. This is like, I'm need a bit more expertise to put these things together, but I actually think this is quite serious, like Nicola Bulley stuff, right? I thought this is a blow your mind moment. Evidence from the Essex Boys murders that they're injecting people to subdue them. The gang. And that gang are operating in the 90s in the area where Peter Folding is ferrying those trucks across the border. Where, from what I can see on the video, I say Peter Folding, excuse me. Peter Folding is establishing his business. That was, you know, I take that back. No defamation here, you know, no slander. Peter Folding is establishing his business as protest breaker, protest remover, and that's the biggest protest movement that's going on in the country, that he prides himself on and puts on his website that he was involved in the removal of the animal rights protesters from various other sites. My guess is that Peter Folding's involved, and that video has a video of someone that looks exactly like him, video evidence of a man that, in my opinion, video evidence would be enough to convict anyone in court because it's video, of a man that looks exactly like him marching with the police wearing a police uniform. So I don't know if he worked for the police or if they just gave him a thing to wear so that he'd look official on his duty as protest breaker, but certainly forcing those trucks through was good for whoever wanted those trucks to go through, wasn't it? And so these connections, the big gangs, I think there's a naivety when people look at the Essex Boys murders and say, who murdered these chuffers? Who held the shotgun? You know, who was the one that held the shotgun here? Oh no, who held the shotgun? Who did that? Who's responsible for that? Like, what are these chuffers doing? Oh, they're selling bad ecstasy in clubs. Oh, they're bad chuffers. They're the gangsters. Like, where are they getting the ecstasy from? They're not the gangsters. The real the top people, they need gangsters to sell the drugs for them. These gangsters end up getting kids to sell the drugs for them, getting younger people to sell. Like, you know, in today's world, you've got street drugs going through other community spaces, haven't you? It's not clubs anymore. But, like, the operation is still, they get the drugs, they take the risks, they sell it on the street. The big gangster takes the money. And the big gangster's the one doing the importing, aren't they? They're getting the shipment. They're getting the kilos. And they think they're the big chuffer. They're not the big chuffer. In Scarface, he has to go to chuff in South America and meet the big chuffer who's, like, farming the stuff. Like, the big chuffer is sending it from South America. The big chuffer in the UK is buying it in fucking boatloads, in shed loads, in shipments, and shipping it into the hands of these gangsters who are then shedding it out to Europe. They can process it in the past. In my opinion, Nicola Bulley case solved. I think in the past these gangs are using connections with farming, agriculture, because it's already got, like, what you need. You can't just set up, listen, you can't just set up a trade route and say, I'm going to start putting trucks, I've got trucks of cocaine to move, so let's hire 10 trucks and let's start moving the cocaine. Because people are going to say, what are you really shipping? And you're going to say, fridges or something, fridges. And they're like, well, there's no high demand for fridges in the Netherlands, is there? They've got their own fridges. How come you're selling thousands and thousands of fridges every month? You're like, damn, this isn't going to work. So what you do is you look for an industry that exists, that's already got trade links, travel links, one that goes unmolested in the main. Like, with some of these things, it can be shipping links as well as, like, you know, driving it across borders and little. We're not talking about drug mules here with little cars, and we're talking about big quantities, yeah, to get into the hands of the big gangsters that can then sell it on. So those people that are doing that, they look at existing transport links and setups, don't they? So that's where I think they've exploited the animal agriculture, right? When I say those people, is it Big Pharma? Oh, Scott's a nutter. Scott's a nutter, Big Pharma. Like, they're shipping in the stuff. They're in charge of the industries. They've got the agricultural ethanol, they've got the big bottles of propanol, they've got the, like, if cocaine comes in and needs processing, they can bring in the cocaine and process it. I don't know, you know, I worry about Big Pharma and all their access to everything. Maybe it comes off maybe this, right? Maybe it falls off the side of the lorry, you know? Big Pharma's not responsible, but somebody that's bad that works in Big Pharma just rips off a few boxes. And in this end, it's quite big boxes, you know. Quite big boxes. So you've got a drugs trade that's legit, and you've got a black market drugs trade, and you're telling me they're not connected. Okay. I'm telling you they might be connected. Okay. If they are connected, the drugs come into the UK. Maybe it needs processing. Maybe it needs putting into the animals, shipping out. The animal agriculture thing's dead now. The king did a king's speech. No more animal agriculture getting shipped out. So as I said in Nicola Bulley case solved, the big farms that used to be animal agriculture that were involved in this, they've had a problem, haven't they? And they're going to have to change their setup. And anyway, in the modern age, like, gin's better than animals. It's easier to do gin. Like, loads of little distilleries can do gin. It's the processing equipment is there to deal with your drugs. The animals, like, if you're running a dairy farm, you don't really have a requirement for a massive still, do you? Like, you know, loads of chemicals. But like, it sort of fits together, doesn't it, gin? Sort of fits together. I want to show you one more mind blower. This is the Spirit of Garstang gin. Have you heard of Garstang? Maybe this is what it's all about. Maybe I'm just mad. Maybe there's no maybe it's the reason they've got a gin bar, the reason Emma's got all this gin, and the reason Paul's got a gin bar is it's just a local product. It's just a local product. That's all it is, isn't it? Look what it says on the bottle. The Spirit of Garstang. Have you heard of Garstang? Does anyone in chat remember Garstang? Do you remember Garstang? Garstang Road. Do you remember? Garstang Road. Nicola Bulley. Do you remember? Look at this. I'm just going to zoom it out. That's Spirit of Garstang gin. That's where they make the gin. The Spirit of Garstang gin. Little craft gin thing. If you zoom it out, look, it's near this agricultural farm, buildings, big farm. Big farmer, big farm. Big farm, big farmer. There's the Spirit of Garstang. Oh, look, it's on the Garstang Road, look. Hang on, let me just zoom it out. It's not going to be... Oh, no. Oh, no. It's not within walking distance of where Nicola Bulley disappeared, is it? Is it? Is it? No. How would you get there? You're not going up Allotment Lane. You're only going it's only up Allotment Lane. It's only up Allotment Lane, look. Just up there. I had it pegged with this, that this end was sus now. This end was sus. I always thought this end was sus from the day one, but this end's sus. That's a little gateway out there, and you can get smuggled out that way. You can get dragged out that way, and no one's going to fucking know. If you're standing on this path, it's down from... It's not elevated, this path that goes down the side, look. It's down. That's the park up there. That's where the dog walking goes on. If you get to that corner and you're up there, you can't be seen if you get dragged out this corner. You could be up in there. You can't be seen. You're dragged along this... You know, you're gone. But you just get onto Garstang Road, and then this is just here again. Now, isn't it weird that there's a gin distiller just right there? Probably they're innocent. Probably they're nothing to do with it, yeah? But that's one of the things that triggered in my mind. That's why all this sort of like, I felt like, oh, this is one of these things that's coming together again. Coming together again a bit. I'm not saying, because I'm on the internet, I can't say, obviously, study group, remember. If I was a study grouper, I might say, is it possible that somebody did inject Nicola Bulley with propanol, one propanol, to incapacitate her during any process around here? Like, it's a very quick process that can happen quickly. I always said that kidnapping is not on, because you're not going to drag someone through this wooded area into a van. Like, someone will see you. Like, you're not going to drag them off. It seems really weird. Like, carrying a woman around in public. And you've got to take, like, you would do it on the road. You wouldn't let her get in the park. There's no point in letting her get in here. But if you inject her with propanol, she's just going to be like, you know, she's going to be messed up. She might not fall into a coma straight away. Do you know what I mean? If you give her a bit of ketamine or whatever, she might be quite manipulatable. You might be able to walk her there. There was no sightings of her on Allotment Lane, so I'm not saying that they went up Allotment Lane. I'm not saying that someone took her into this particular shed here. But if propanol's in a system, one propanol, it might not be the Spirit of Garstank Gin, it might not be them, it's just a real nice coincidence that finishes the episode here, yeah? But you could get the propanol or whatever, and you could take it from there, and you could meet just down here. If you were going to take and meet and just down here, I've always said, or not always, more recently since the Nicola Bulley case solved video, I wonder if Nicola Bulley, let's say for example, you are, I don't know, Ernie Bulley, and you're actually quite a big face. Like, one of these sort of faces. That's what they used to call them in the East End. Faces. You know, a gangster. Ernie Bulley the gangster. I'm not saying he is, and I don't think he is. Maybe. I don't know. Scary. Or what about Paul Ansell? Is Paul Ansell a gangster? Paul Ansell doesn't seem like a top face, does he? Big gangster. But, you know, like, you might carry a reputation with you. They said this guy looks scary. If you had a reputation, if you had been back from the old school and you were connected, then if your daughter goes missing and someone finds the phone, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is his... Imagine it's his daughter and you find the phone. Not Ernie, but Bernard. You find Bernard's daughter's phone. I don't want anything to do with this. Bernard's going to fucking murder me. Like, Bernard's a scary man. If I find her phone and it comes out that she goes missing and shit, I don't even want to touch that phone. Yeah? I want nothing to do with it. Yeah? She was prescribed propanol for anxiety. I know, admit audacity, I agree. But there was a question hanging over that as to whether she was taking it or had discontinued taking it. And whether she'd started up taking it again. And where that question comes in, you know. And if you know she's taking it, and you're aware of this other stuff, like, some of the planned activities of the gangsters was quite intelligent. Some of the, well, not this end, like when you're on the door and you're shooting people with shotguns, but at the higher end, some of the moves they pull, they're actually quite smart people. You know, they go through some quite smart you know, they do some quite clever things. Shirley the chemist here. Where's Shirley the chemist? Because I want to know if it breaks down in your system the same, if you would have the same markers. But we are a study group. But yeah, so I think that one of the reasons you had this problem with the phone on the bench, no one wants to know who's going to say, who's going to be the witness, and that seems a bit fishy on the bench, is because they were scared of the reputation that was carried by the Bulley family. Like, they didn't want to, like, if it was this, they didn't want to be involved. Paul rushing down there, his fear, his anxiety, Paul's anxiety, him rushing down there, you know, what's happened to you? Are you okay? Have you got lost? Scared for her, worried about her. Like, what if Paul, Ernie, you know, I don't want to make wild accusations against people. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to do a study group. I'm here to try and find out what's getting to the bottom, you know, getting to the bottom of this Nicola Bulley stuff. And I mean going on these extra layers, these deeper levels, and this is part of it. So what if she was picking up an envelope or dropping off a package? It was something they regularly did, that walk, wasn't it? Something they regularly did. It's just up the road from that gin place. It's just around the corner from that other place. It's just, you know, what if she was like vulnerable in some way and someone intercepted her on something that was supposed to be fairly routine? It doesn't have to be the bad people that, like, there's different groups of bad people that interact on these sort of things, aren't there? There's different levels of bad people that send messages to each other. Yeah, that's my big worry there. That's my connection. That's my, okay, so my gin connection. What's my gin connection? What's my gin video all about? I've sort of said it there, haven't I think? Gin. Big gin distilleries. Big business. Each one of them has the capacity to process, like, they have the same chemicals lying around, the capacity to process illicit drugs. If you got a big shipment of juniper powder...
Angry Alan sent tippies. In dyslexic.
Wrong channel.
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you. We don't mention that beast here. This channel was built completely independently of any mention of that man. So, but thank you for the tippies. The gin is big business. All the product necessary for the processing of drugs is involved. There's a connection to big pharma. Like, there's a connection to small pharma, like to actual farmers. There's a connection with the ethanoic alcohol there. There's like all the way along the process. You've also got so you got the production means of production, the production line. You've also got the transport links. So where before you had animal agriculture being shipped, you know, that I was worried about, they were forcing those animals through. Well, what's in there? The other aspect of that is now you remove that ship. Okay, so we've got no way of shipping the product, but now we've got product that we can ship. It's gin. You know, it could even be in the gin sometimes, couldn't it? Like we said that cocaine could be dissolved into things. You've got powder coming from the east. You got powder, brown powder coming from the east. That's juniper powder. Big pharmaceutical again, and that filters into this. So all the necessary, like, if I want to ship in heroin, I want brown powder coming in. And if I want to ship in cocaine and process it, I need this distillery set up. And if I want to ship it on into Europe, I need the trucks going through with my product. Yeah, hundreds of bottles of gin. And then if shit's going down and there's money to be made, and as you have the big, the high end, I'm saying at the pharmaceutical end, you know, the big gangsters that are ripping, you know, whatever they're ripping off the top at the top end, they're not street level shotguns and messing about. You know, they're private jets and all that nonsense, aren't they? They're the Masons, top Masons. But like next level down, you get the big gangsters that ship the big bricks and do have the shotguns and the worries and the gangs about them. Next level down, you've got, you know, you have these it's a layer cake, isn't it, in this? And like down towards the lower end, you've actually got people who mess about shipping bottles of gin, like making thousands of pounds on a package, which seems quite a lot, but actually you're at the small end still. You know, maybe selling a bit in the pub. I don't know, like Paul Ansell to me strikes me more of a like small end person than a big end person. But if you knew someone who was a bit big end, then you're in the chain, aren't you? And like, if, I don't know, your girlfriend's dad is a bit big end, then you might be a bit in the chain. You might be looked on with a bit of favour. And you might, you know, I think, yeah, to me, what this does is it gives, what's the word? I want to sort of make my point rather than just ramble on, don't I? It gives motive for someone to attack Nicola Bulley, to keep her alive, maybe even. I've I've said this since Nicola Bulley case solved. Is it a ransom? Is it a, we want you to do what you're told? We're putting pressure on you. We will give Nicola back if you do X, Y, Z. Is it that? You know, if you're talking about big criminals, like some people have always suggested since the start, actually, that Nicola was in some sort of witness protection. And again, I think, why would Nicola be in witness protection? What would she have access to? What kind of world of crime she been in? But if you've moved from Essex, from the 90s, you know, if your dad was in trucking and shipping and stuff, like maybe he's had more access to that world. And she becomes a person that goes along that is vulnerable. And those people also need protecting. You know, so I do understand that angle. But it all wraps up in the same world. And so we need a motive, really. With Nicola Bulley, the motive is Paul Ansell did it because it's your husband-partner murder, classic. Most likely, statistically. You know, I'd put her in that, what's it called, the hot tub, until he could get her in the river. Coerced Emma White into helping him because they've got an illicit affair going or whatever. This is just a theory. This is just, you know, me saying it. Like, and then brought in Peter Faulding to try and help cover everything up, like make it look like they're doing the right thing, but also to get access to the police so that they can have access to what the police are doing, and that way they can know the right day to go and just plop her back in the river. There was that as an option. But now I'm saying as well, like, if you're talking about people who are involved in dark organised crime and something goes on like this and you're Paul and you're Nikki, then you can't really turn to the police, can you? You can tell them certain things, but you can't tell them, like, if Nikki's involved, like Nikki's got the gin bar, if gin's involved in this criminal, you know, we're talking about this layer cake, like one of your vulnerable people has gone missing, you want the police to be in helping, but you don't want the police to help, do you? Because what would you do? Like, you want people out on the road with wobbly men. Have you seen her on the road thinking, fuck, like, let's do anything we can that's innocent, but let's not go on telly and let's, if we go on telly and we do a big appeal, yeah, then the person that took her, like, if we know she's been taken for ransom and it's bad criminals, then you don't grass. Like, if Ernie, like, you don't grass, you don't go on the telly, you don't fucking tell the police, you have to deal with it. Number one rule is you don't grass, otherwise you're going to get her killed. Yeah? Look at Dorothy's face. The anxiety. We all assume the anxiety. I mean, I assume the anxiety is because the fucking daughter's missing. But you tell me in study group chat, you all thought this, didn't you? In study group chat from day one, you all had this peg, didn't you? That she doesn't want him to talk. She's looking at him all the time. She's worried, yeah? Like, Dorothy's face, isn't it? Like, watching him, checking him. Like, you all think there's something she wanted to say and, like, hasn't, you know, and you're all talking about cover-ups. Like, well, not you all, but, like, people talk about cover-ups, don't they? Right, it did get handed over to major crimes, didn't it? It did, didn't it? The big people came in. I think the policeman that died and the one that got retired, I think they were on to trying to catch the bad people, and that's why one of them might have ended up dead. That, in my, you know, this is a bit, you know, bad people. Like, I think it's a theory in a study group. I'm not like defamation on the internet or anything. You know, I think it's an interesting idea that instead of being able to finish the case and nail the bad people, they were given the option to walk off into the sunset, maybe, and one of them took that. Maybe the other one didn't. It would be like a good TV show, that would, wouldn't it? That's what happens on the TV shows. That's all I'm doing, TV shows. So people think the police are complicit in the cover-up because they're bad people who are involved in the bad crimes. And maybe there are police that are involved in the bad crimes. Maybe the criminal gang have got one or two moles in the police. But my hope is that the majority of good police are not like that and actually do want to solve the crimes. So, you know, we've still got that problem between the gangs, which is why they brought in the bigger members of the police gang to try and, like, you know, the drug woman came in, didn't she? Is someone blackmailing Ernie? That's what I worry about. That's what I worry about, yeah. If they were to blackmail Ernie, they would grab his daughter and they would demand he do what they want him to do, wouldn't they? And what would he be able to do? What would he do? Like, he says stuck in a nightmare. If Ernie was shipping and helping to ship, or making documents to help ship, or whatever it was involved in the shipping of the animals, if he was, then that has to stop, because the King's speech banning it, no more live animal agriculture export, it was tabled in the 90s, but the politicians never put it through. The King did eventually. No more animal agriculture going through. What if you need to get, we're going to set up something else, but for now, you're going to carry on, Ernie. Well, I'm not going to carry on because it's illegal. I'm going to have to retire. Well, you're not retiring. We need to, what did the gangsters do? I don't know. That's just, it could be on the telly, couldn't it? But it makes it all fit, doesn't it, as well? Because what would they... We all said, like, they didn't seem to... Like, there's not enough, in some ways, in some of these things. We all felt there was some things unsaid. If you look back over this, and I did, I think I did look back over this. I'll probably do it as another episode, like, a review of this again. It's 8 minutes long, so should I just do it now? Like, and look for signs of what I'm saying. I suppose I should just do it now, shouldn't I? Have I already done this or not? I can't remember.
I'm being honest, it feels like I'm just stuck in a nightmare.
Stuck in a nightmare, like you're stuck in the middle. You're stuck between rock and a hard place. Because this is just a read now. This is just a read on what that theory is. I'm not saying it's the right theory. I'm saying if you're in the study group, if you're in the, idea space, if you're in the brainstorming session, you need to put the different ideas up. That's why I looked at the mental home aspect. It's because I think we need to, examine the different ideas and test them for validity. So let's test this one.
We're going round and round in circles.
I'm such a fucker, man. I'm teasing now, doing a study group.
Trying to...
No, I'm only teasing one particular chuffer that we don't mention.
You piece together what could have possibly happened, and we've just got to keep such an open mind with everything, because we just have no idea.
Promising us that we have no idea. Do they have no idea, or do they actually know? Dorothy again looking quite worried.
Where she is. It's like she's just vanished into thin air. There's no evidence to point us in any direction. Obviously, my hope...
Like, because I feel like I'm talking to the criminal gangs sometimes. I assume they don't murder me just because I'm talking on the internet about stuff generally. Because I'm not able to, like I say, I'm not able to say this Lord so-and-so is the one that's the head. This one from the pharmaceutical companies is in league with this one. They're passing it down to these chuffers who are doing... I'm not able to point at any particular fingers, and the police are unlikely to watch my show and then go and bust everyone. So I hope they don't murder me. But the criminals would watch this if they'd taken their daughter and think, well, be careful on the telly, wouldn't you? If you go on the telly and say, we think criminals have taken her, she's in a shed somewhere around the area, check the sheds, that might get her killed. So you've got to be careful.
Is that she's still out there, something's happened, and she's, I don't know, needed to take herself off for whatever reason.
Take herself off, or did someone take her off?
And we just want a home, we need her home, her children need a home.
And then the most natural thing and the easiest thing to do is to have got together and said, we're going to do this appeal, but we're going to say all the things that you can say, like, we want a home, please come home, do the appeal, but make sure we don't tread on the wrong territory and allude to her being kidnapped in any way, so the bad people that watch it could watch it and say, well, obviously we've had to do this, you've had to do that. And then, like, okay, I should get through this actually, shouldn't I?
It's just
because then I want to mention Peter Folding again.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Only for you, what was the last week
Why the fake CCTV at Nicola's house? Yeah, exactly, yeah.
been like as a father?
It's been very difficult. As from last Friday morning to date, it's just been so painful. We're such a close-knit family.
Close-knit family? Meaning we're not going to tell anyone, like, we're close-knit, like, don't worry about us leaking. I mean, this is just a read from this perspective, like, putting that hat on, Close-knit family also might, sound a bit like a like crime gang, mightn't it? You know, like if I were to tell you that's listening, I'm not going to grass. Like, I want you to make sure you hear this. I'm not going to grass. We're a close-knit family.
We talk to each other, both our children, Louise and Nicola, and the children every day. There's not a day goes by without talking to them. And this has just emptied our lives at the minute.
These are fair comments. You know, he's in safe territory here,
empty.
obviously.
You know, we appreciate everything that everyone's doing to find her. The police have been brilliant. The local community has been outstanding.
When he mentioned the police, she looked at him. I'm obviously not saying that Ernie's guilty. I'm doing a read on it for this. I feel a bit, myself now in my heart, I feel a little bit worried that if this isn't correct, then I look really bad accusing Ernie and all this. But you must understand that I'm not accusing him. I'm being interested in an angle on this, you know. It's just got, you know, it's got to be done, hasn't it? It's just a fair. Like, I've looked at so many other aspects of this Nicola Bulley case so far, and I'm uncovering this information that appears to link these people. So what is the link with Ernie Bulley and Peter Folding? You know, what is the link that goes back into the 90s in the Essex area, and why does it involve a criminal element? Why is there this untold story? Because we don't know what's happened to Nikki. Like, something's happened to her. Nobody, no more looking at the bench is going to tell you anything, is it? Like, unless it literally was just someone kicked a football and it hit her in the head and she went in the water, and then, oh, we found the football and it's got a face print on it, like Wilson. It's her face, job solved. Like, unless that happens, that's not happening, is it? Like, there is a deeper thing to this, isn't there? And you look at Likker's life, and we don't have a lot of information about these people's lives, but if you're an investigator, a proper detective, that's what you're looking at. You're digging into these people's lives and looking for motives and agendas. And if you're not talking about an accident, you're talking about a murder. A murder doesn't happen just because someone got angry. Well, it does happen because someone got angry in the pub, or it does happen because someone, you know. But you know what I mean? Murder's a serious business, and when it's not a motivated by passion, this is why we look at Paul Ansell a lot, is because you would think high emotion, high passion, like that has to be someone close to you. There has to be someone who knows you, is, you know, angry, you know, or as I said with the mental hospital angle, someone who's just like flip anyway, and like, you know, they're potentially dangerous. Or there's that other aspect, which is, if it's not like those, you would expect signs of scuffle. You would expect to see, you know, all this other stuff that you would expect. It's why it was a mystery, is because you didn't see any of that you would have expected if it was just a sort of, oh, things kicked off and it happened sort of incident. It feels much more sinister that there is no evidence. People think there's cover-ups, planning. You know, who's doing that sort of stuff? Criminals. They do that stuff and they're good at it. You don't know. You don't find out. It ends up on Crime Watch years later. No one knows. Criminals do the cover-ups. It's not just like people say it's the police, don't they? Police cover up, police cover up, police cover up. Like, the police are trying to solve damn crimes. Like, the criminals are doing cover-ups, you know? Yeah, let's finish. I want to watch this from this angle then, for that reason. And I know it sounds really harsh the way I'm sort of saying every moment I can I'm going to pause it and say that sounds dodge, but I need to do it. And then I want to just quickly talk about Peter Folding again, and, you know.
The police have been brilliant. The local community has been outstanding. And it's just comforting from that point of view. So
it is that when he said police, she starts to look at him and pay attention then.
But at the end of the day, we just want her back.
On that point,
and they're both happy that he stops there. We just want her back, and they both look to the questioning man, who he's that guy that was out when the guy did the poop and run, wasn't he? The statement, "We want her back," is like, I know you'd want to be optimistic in these cases. You know, we want her to come back. We want her to return home. Nikki, if you're out there, that's what we want as people who are watching these things. It's what we didn't see from Paul Ansell, you know. But the idea that we want her back, like, if I was saying this on the news and someone had her, I want, like, do you know what I mean? It's a very straightforward thing, isn't it? That fits with what I'm saying. We want her back. Please give her back.
You know, the community spirit has been unbelievable in a very small village. How much has that helped you, knowing that people have come from far and wide to help look for your daughter?
Massive.
Again, in the initial stages, when they found the phone, they didn't go into overdrive to try and help find her. They dillied and dallied, and nobody wanted to be the one. My feeling on it, because we've got the evidence, haven't we, that it took a while for someone to call this and that, and Paul came down, and it didn't feel like they immediately went into search mode. And I'm saying, my heart of hearts, I think they dillied and dallied and had decisions to make about who was going to do what with the dog and the phone, because no one wanted to take responsibility for Nicola Bulley's dog and phone. In this telling of the story, in this way, it's because they fear that there's actual bad crime behind it, that this reputation that an old face from Essex could carry, like if this man had any sort of reputation, his family or anything like that, or Paul or any of them, then you would fear it and you wouldn't want to be involved. But then you'd have to do the right thing and get in contact with the people eventually, wouldn't you? So in the same way, the community's going to rally to help find Nikki. Like that man in the other documentary, I'm just like piecing funny things together here, but the policeman in this documentary said the tendrils of this, go so far and wide. If this man's lost his daughter and he's in my local community and he's a big scary gangster man, and we all know him because he's in the pub, and you're friends with his daughter's friend that goes to the school, and like he paid for the hockey sticks at the local thing because he's got a lot of money and he's a big gangster, and he's paid for the the life jackets, the or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, these people are ingratiating their communities. Like, think back to the Craze. Not every gangster does this, but back to the Craze. They're involved in the community in a positive way. Like, they want to be seen by the community as a positive. They're not just seen as a nasty gangster. People know they've got the dark side and they're into this dark shit, some of them. But overall, they're top beans in the village, aren't they? And they might just try and hide and do, silent treatment, but they might be big beans in the village, you don't know. It occurs to me that, like, there was a big, push to help find Nikki. Yeah. He's very thankful for it. It can tip onto this side of things that people, and also, what about this? If it's just Nikki and it's just Paul and it's just him, all right, yeah. But what if it's Emma in the gin bar? And what if it's the next door neighbour? And what if it's the people that run the pub that also buy the gin? And what if it's the people, I'm not saying everyone in fucking Garstang is like, a criminal, but if it's this tendrils thing, if people like a bit of a taste, if everyone likes a bit of, or if your friends of friends of friends all like a bit of sniff, and like if you don't mind making a little bit of money, or know someone where you can get it, somewhere when you can get it, do you know what I mean? Like, how many people are going to think, yeah, I'll come out and do a bit of helping? Like, these people are people that I'm on the good side of.
It's been massive. We've really appreciated it, and everyone that's been involved doing the sweep search of the fields, etc. It's just given us hope that someone might find something that could give us that little clue to what... That someone might find something...
Might find something, and when he's saying this, she's staring straight down the camera.
That could give us that little clue to what might have happened.
We just need something. We're nearly a week on tomorrow, and we're just going around in circles. It's like something's got to have been missed. There's got to be, somebody must know something. Somebody must know. People don't just vanish into thin air. There's got to be somebody that knows something.
Like, she's very adamant there's somebody that knows something. She was going to say we just need a lead, but that's a police word. But somebody that knows something. But you can't go on telly and say, hey, you out there, I know you've got her. I know you know something. But there's got to be somebody that knows something. Does there? Well, apparently there does. No.
All we are asking, no matter how small or big, if there's anything that you can remember that just doesn't seem right, then please reach out to the police, please.
If there's anything that doesn't seem right, reach out. And I wonder whether there's been some negotiation. Like, could you imagine a situation where they put the pressure on, you said, right, yeah, I'll do what you want. I'll do it. And then she doesn't return. Like, he does the job, she doesn't return. Why hasn't she returned? Maybe something's gone wrong. Maybe they're not talking anymore.
Just get in touch and...
Get in touch.
Get my sister back.
I was going to ask you that, Lou. What is it you want to say to people watching this, wherever they're sat, wherever they're watching from, on their phones, on the tellies? What do you want to say to people in order to help you?
Well, just if anybody knows anything, just let us know. Just, Nikki, if you're bloody out there, just let us know that you're okay. We can sort anything out. We can
sort anything out. That's drugs terminology. I can sort you out. We can sort anything out. It's also not, you know, it's, but it is. You know.
We just want you home.
Big ups, Candice. You're a kid at the time of the craze. Yeah, these days it's not so much like, it's a strange thing, isn't it? It's not so much direct celebrity, but I think there are people that just, you know, don't want to be in the public eye, but there are also like this sort of, I don't know, they might run a business that gives them some sort of status, and they might run events or be part of things. They might not be in the eye themselves, but they, you know, like the entourage around them to be top people, celebs, and to be part of them, don't they? Like when you go back to this, these chuffers, one of these chuffers was going into the ring with Nigel Benn.
Later,
just want the picture of the Essex boys. One of these chuffers, he was the doorman of like the security man for Nigel Benn, and he would go to all the boxing events and like, you know, be a big chuffer up the boxing events. So there is this sort of like, yeah, and like the reason I mentioned the craze is because the culture from it, the culture of it. I just want those picture of those chuffers. The culture.
Rages of.
There they are. The culture for this came out of the East End of London. You know, the craze sort of era died out, but then they built new towns on the edge of town. The drugs trade and stuff went to the ports, and like these people took over. Like the craze era wasn't heavy drugs trade, was it? It was more different. You know, it was a different era. But when drugs trade kicked off, a new generation of gangsters sort of took on and took over. And in the inner cities, like you've got the problems of you know, you've got nowadays you've got like gangs like Albanians, and you've got the like, you know, the big like criminal London gangs and stuff, haven't you? And like all sorts, like, you know, it's different now again, but like back then from this 90s era. And like I said, these people, some of them moved out from Essex and went to Lancashire, didn't they? Like it's far enough away to start a new life. I don't know if that's, I don't know what happened. Like some of them were like this guy that's the doorman that looks like a nutter. He can be a grass and talk to the, I'm not saying he's a grass, he'll murder me, but like if he was a grass, he could get away with it because no one's going to come and murder him because he's a fucking bad man and he's going to murder them, yeah? So he can do what he wants. He can walk around and talk to whomever and do like telly shows or whatever. But like in the majority of people, I'm not saying he's a grass, I'm not saying he's a grass, I'm not saying he's a grass, but the majority of people can't, like you can't grass on these people, you get murdered. And if you do, like, if you want to leave this situation, you have to move away. And I suppose the witness protection angle is that, like, you know, people who were involved in any sort of scheme, one side, the other, you know, witness protection, they may have got moved away witness protection. If you got found, you'd still be in line to be in trouble. But I don't think Ernie's like, and Nikki and their family are sort of hidden enough to be witness protection. Like just moving Lancashire and then run a similar business with your like website. I think you'd have to hide a bit more. And they've got all the track record of like having come from Essex and everything, so they'd have changed their names and stuff, wouldn't they? So I don't think that myself. But, you know, whether it's because you've made the money, things have changed, time to get out, time to move, whatever. Like people from this thing, this Essex boys scene, not directly with this murder necessarily, but this scene, they move out and they go away, and then like things change. But this is their modus operandi. If you were this man, that man who just described it, if you were him, 17 minutes, like, and there was
firm threatened to give him a forcible overdose of drugs.
Went from
like working in the firms. I'm not saying he's doing it now, but back in the day when he was working in the firms, if you're him and someone goes against you or you've got some problem with Ernie Bulley, like you just go up there and you grab his daughter and you do this, don't you? Like it's just like what they do.
a threat to actually giving him drugs.
How?
He was injected 3 times in his right arm.
Do you know what he was being injected with?
Special K, which is a veterinary drug.
Oh, they're nutters. So, yeah, big ups BCTV. The last thing I wanted to mention was Peter Folding. Really, I need to finish watching this and just make a point of doing this, don't I?
We just want you home.
Yeah, my approach to this is that for the public to
Very carefully choosing his words, isn't he?
search their minds or anything that they might have seen, doesn't matter how significant it is. If it's something that they think might not be interesting, it could be, and inform the police.
I half think he actually does want these people to be caught, but he can't push it too hard on the telly because they'll say, you're trying to get us caught, and then you'll be in trouble. Like
That they've seen something. But the main thing is that, you know, we want to find Nicola, get her back home.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 young children there waiting for their mummy to come back.
Sad, isn't it?
And we feel that we want her back, obviously, also. But
That was a bit weird as well.
you know, if Nicola is out there, if she is watching this, then all we'd like to say is just come home.
That part, I always felt like she had an argument with them. Like she wasn't on the same wavelength as her, the mother and the daughter. Like, it's possible, I've said all this, you know, it's possible she found something out and they thought, you know, what's happening now? She's found something out. Like, and the people that she's found it out about might not just be these people, it might be other people as well. So maybe, you know, they don't know, but I don't know, you know, I don't know.
Contact the police, contact ourselves, and we just want you back.
One thing on covering this story and speaking to people right at the very heart of it, and everyone harks back to this, is that there are 2 beautiful girls at home, Nikki's kids.
She looks at him in great anguish again there. Oh, she looks at him in anguish again. I wonder if there's any sense of this is just, you know, I feel a little bit guilty for doing this myself, but I'm just going to have to do it. Like, if he feels guilty himself because it's his lifestyle or behaviour or whatever that's roped Nikki into this danger, then, you know, at some point she's going to look at him and, like, you know, he's going to feel that guilt, isn't it, in a way? Like, even if they absolve it in their own minds in some way, but like...
You know, how difficult...
what if it's all connected to the pharmaceutical chain, as we've mentioned since it happened? Yeah, like, that's... Like, the problem with this is, like, I don't think Ernie Bulley is, like, Mr. Big here. I just think he probably, like, you know, knows somebody who's a bit bigger, if you know what I mean, or has to do what somebody a bit bigger says. And the bigger thing is that if this is the case, why is it so big and what is it they're involved with? Well, it's potentially I mean, I'm probably not the first person in the world to suggest that pharmaceutical companies could be responsible for drug trafficking, like, and handing off you never catch them either. You know, something falls off the back of a shipping container every now and then, would you? Like, you know, you'd never catch the pharmaceutical companies putting it on their records, but they must have some commercial loss as well of things. So yeah, like, at the top, big pharmaceuticals. That's your access point to it. I mean, we don't even have to be criminals shipping it in as big pharma. You can be legitimately doing it, and then the people that access it turn into criminals when they start processing it and doing things with it. But it's the cocaine bit, isn't it? That's the criminal bit. Getting the cocaine in big quantities, whether you're turning it into something that you then process, or whether it's coming in just, you know, powder form, legitimately signed into the pharmaceutical companies and then handed on. It's getting that in, and on the other side, it's getting it out. Then once it's been put through the distillery, so to speak, you know, I imagine it in like some sort of packaged form where they put it in, it dissolves in some sort of acetone stuff or whatever, and then they boil it up, and then at the end they've got the cocaine and they've boiled off all the shit, and then it gets sent out. Like, I imagine that's going on. That's my guess.
Is that knowing that the daughters are there without a mum?
It's there, obviously their little minds are trying to process. They don't really understand. None of us.
Out of all these options, Paul Ansell doing it because he's just an angry man and he's, you know, a bad man with his wife and he's covered it all up. Nicola getting pushed in by a randomer, her falling in, an alien coming down from space and pushing her in, like, or this. I think this ticks more boxes because all the questions I have. Why are people doing this? Why are they doing that? How come they're not behaving like this? This doesn't add up. Where's the connection here? You know, it ticks so many boxes. And then, like, it's stuff like the Black Gin Club, which I asked at the start, like, which I don't have the, you know, the box tick there. I think to myself all these different things that, oh, when people said that, I kind of ignored it because I thought, no. Like, people that were saying Masons, like, well, there is a higher up link. Like, people that were saying cover up, well, there is a sort of criminal conspiracy. People that were saying the police can be involved in it. Well, I don't think every police person is, but somewhere along the chain there'll be someone a bit bent in the coppers, won't there? Like, and the whole thing with the with this stuff was the police were allowing them to do the drug trade. They were allowing them to run the clubs because it was that or all out chaos. So they allowed it, and then it went in the papers Leah Betts had died and someone's head had to roll. And I tell you what, it wasn't the police that said that rolled, it was one of the gangsters. It was 3 of them, they all got shot. You know, people's head had to roll. But once the heads had rolled, it all went quiet again, and they carried on selling the drugs. And the police do the busts, and the drugs get sold, and they do the busts, but the people at the top are still the people at the top, you know? And the people that are involved never actually get taken down with the proper busts, do they? Not the proper people. You have your token, you know, you have your, you know, we'll let you bust this and take that, and, you know, one of these and a big bag of that, and this person's going to go to jail for a bit. But like the big boss, like the big people, they're not worried about that. That's just collateral damage, like.
Understand, to be honest.
And you need people running trucks, you need people shipping trucks, you need people with production lines and distilleries and things, whether it be distilleries or whatever. You know, you need some sort of production facility for the cocaine. You know, we're not just talking about you buy it in a big brick and you take it off the boat and hand it to someone. We're talking a level up from that. We're talking about making the big bricks, you know. Yeah, they make them out there and ship them in as bricks. Yeah, they do. But, like, what if you want to cut them? What about that as a straightforward principle? You just want to cut them with something, make double your money. Well, you got to crack into the bricks then and start mixing them up with other powders and stuff. Like, you need some sort of production facility for any level other than just take it off the boat, give it to somebody, you know. And that's the old school way: take it off in bags off the boat and give it to somebody. And you think that's what they're all doing with all their money? Just that? I don't think so. I think there's more to it.
We've just got to try and.
Do I think we'll ever get to the bottom of this? To a certain extent, I think I can offer theories that if you, like, you're like the jury. Like, I'm not a proper counsel or barrister or anything, but you're like the jury, aren't you? You have to believe what. I don't think we'll ever get a real, a CCTV of someone doing something, or someone come forward and tell the truth, and it's, all falls into place. Like, I don't think Paul Ansell or Ernie Bulley. I mean, God help us, he could. Like, if this was the story and this was the case, then he could. Any of them could. But then they risk so much more, don't they? They said about those little girls, the daughters, that's still on the table. Like, they're rocking a hard place. So I don't think no. I think no. People don't talk. You never found out what happened to, like, in terms of like proper gangster stuff, you don't find out. People disappear. Like, I'm putting my head up above the parapet a little bit, and I hope that the gangster people who watch would think that, oh, I'm all right, I'm not such a bad chuffer, I smoke weed, and, like, I'm just talking as it is. It's a thing on the internet. I'm not trying to out them and get them all arrested. And if they wanted to give me loads of money to shut up, I'd take the loads of money. But, like, murders are hopefully reserved for people that are higher up the chain and, a bit more serious stuff going on. But I do appreciate they also go on the streets. Do you know what I mean? Like, at street level, people get murdered, don't they? So, But this, in terms of getting to the bottom of it, what this does do for me as a content creator is it gives me a load more study group avenues to talk about, things to look into. I want to go back to talk about the animal rights years. I want to go back to talk about some of that. And even the ecstasy, the Leah Betts thing, the Essex boy era, like, I've left that alone because it's not really my... Like, it is my era, I grew up in it, but, like, it's not really, it's been covered, it's been talked about, but sort of historic true crime in that way. Like, that I don't want to be here reporting on every paedophile that gets arrested, because I just don't want to talk about all the horrible things that go on in the world on a day-to-day basis, like I'm the news report for that. Like, if it's a mystery, we'll talk about it. If it's obvious that guy, done something horrible, I don't need to put my brain into that every day. But in terms of Super Chuffer content going forward, I like to think that we're going to come on to something a bit more than just me talking, like more documentary style. So you need these bigger stories and maybe slightly historic stories to touch on. So it's that sort of thing that I'm going to do in the future. And whether you get a full answer, I don't think so, to be honest. you think if I get to the bottom of it, I get Jill Dandoed. Well, there you go. And I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not the police investigative reporter. I'm a chuffer on YouTube who's interested in criminology, psychology, body language. It takes me down these avenues, and I want to start making like interesting documentaries and sort of travel the world a little bit by doing it. So I'm not going to be like, I don't need to be murdered. Yeah. And I think this particular story touches on all these different things, whether it's the truth what I've just told you or not, because I'm not party to that, I don't know. But if it is, or if it's not, whatever, like I now can talk about these other subjects in more detail because they all have relevance and are connected to what we're talking about with the Nicola Bulley case. So if I start talking about the Essex drugs trades in the 90s, it's not irrelevant random shit. It's part of this bigger story now, bigger conversation. So that thing will probably happen here in this channel a bit, but the me being able to give you a full answer, or us ever getting a full answer, no. I just think no. I think, in fact, that policeman that ended up dead might have been able to give us a better answer, but he's dead. So, you know what I mean? I think it gets to that level. Like they said in chat, you get Jill Dandoed. So my guess is that we're better off just understanding the bigger machination. And I think that even the criminals will agree with me on this. It's okay for society to understand, because it's facts, it's knowledge. It's just people know it. I'm not, I wasn't put all those websites I brought up were just things on the internet. Like, I'm not the first person to suggest cocaine gets dealt and imported, or am I? Like, so it's our society, from a step back point of view, it's our society, and that's what it is. So this is how our society works. People do not get brought to justice for high-end. Not everybody. I'd say some people do, but not everybody gets brought to justice for high-end. What's the word? Conspiracy to commit crime, or crime. Like, you're talking about the big crime gangs, aren't you? Like, and even bigger. Maybe people that operate such big financial juggernauts, like, then at the top end, someone mentioned Brian in chat, Brian Harvey. At the top end, out the top end, off into space, I suppose. Not for Brian Harvey. I'm not saying Brian Harvey's off into space, but you could go into further conspiracy, and you could start. I think Brian's quite grounded. I think that's what I think about Brian. Well, not forget what I said. Let's not try and make aspersions on Brian Harvey because Super Chuffer said something. I think he's a good guy. Let's just put that aside. At the top end, you can go out and say you're running huge pharmaceutical companies, you're in the elites, you're involved in government lobbying, and you're in these things, and then this is where people get their Masons from, isn't it? And this is why, for example, with Millie Dowler, GlaxoSmithKline is based just round the corner. Back then, their head office wasn't there, but they did have, and this is study group stuff. If Brian's watching or hears this, big up Brian. Like, this is something I've always thought I want to say to him, is if you look where GlaxoSmithKline and Big Pharma, just behind the train station, there's a little industrial estate, and there's like pharmaceutical. Like, it seems like in a lot of these cases where drugs are involved, where young people, like that other end, and I'm not doing that tonight, I'm not saying that tonight, but that other end, like, I believe that if you're the sort of person that would engage in animal abuse, as in used animals to test on in your company and make loads of money from it, then you've probably got sick fucking desires anyway, haven't you? And like, what these people with this extra amount of money, like Brian's Red Rooms level, the Epstein Island level, like what they're up to, fucking don't ask me. So that could go out the top end of this as well, couldn't it? I haven't, that's not where I'm really going with it tonight, and that's not where I'm really going with it in general, but bigger payment homes. Bigger payment homes, you know what I mean? But it all, like, it's a societal layer cake. And I think of this in that way because, like I say about Nicola Bulley season 2, you can't just focus on the bench. In none of these big crimes can you just, unless it is just literally like, someone walked up to someone in the street and they fucking chopped their head off because they were angry that they had the wrong hat at the end. Like, usually it's a societal layer cake, isn't it? It's things leading up to it. It's the history, the past, the build up, the future as well. And it's this layer of, with this I see, I'm looking for motivation. I'm looking for a motive. I'm looking for someone, why and how. And when you start pulling at these threads, it leads to these other things. So a final word on Peter Folding, I suppose, because that's where that thread gets pulled, isn't it? In the midst of all this, actually, I need to finish this interview, but I don't need to finish this interview, do I? I'll try.
Children involved,
it's 3 minutes.
You have to carry on. You've got to get through every day, and that's all we're trying to do.
With children involved, you've got to carry on. You've got to get through every day. It's almost like acceptance that, like, you know, we're in this situation now, and like for their sake, we're going to just keep our mouths shut, isn't it? Like,
they know Mum is missing, but they know that she's going to be coming home.
He's pretty sure that she's going to be coming home.
And this is, everyone's looking for her. So it's only a matter of time that they're thinking in their minds that she's going to walk through that door.
I mean, that's a statement of what the daughters are thinking. I mean, maybe that's an appeal to the people that are holding her as well, you know. Like, we trust you. We know you've got her, but she's going to come home. The children are there, so have a heart, you know. And, like, you know, that's a very confident statement on the news. I mean, maybe it's just optimism.
What happened on Friday morning was, it started off as what seemed to be Nikki's, you know, daily routine, really. Dropping the kids off at school, taking Willow for a walk. It all seemed quite...
Don't worry, Ray, you're not the only one who doubted Peter Folding. He doubted himself when he lied to everyone and told us all a lie on the news, and then later told us that was a lie, didn't he? That he found her. He doubted himself when he said that she wasn't there, because later he told us that was a lie. So he must have doubted himself because he knew he was telling a lie.
normal. How do you feel about the fact that this has happened and it isn't Nikki in a way, if you get what I mean? It's not her, it's not normal Nikki.
No.
What's happened? How does that make you feel?
Well, we just haven't got any answers, have
no,
we? We just don't know.
She's done this 1,000 times.
What's she done 1,000 times? Run off? Disappeared? I don't think so. The dog walk? Okay. She's done the dog walk 1,000 times. Or is it something more routine and regular that in, like I said, like, was she meeting someone? If Ernie needs to take a bundle of money off someone, like, you're not going to give it to Ernie, are you? Let's say, for example, I really hate actually saying this and not, it might not be Ernie, like, this might be wrong, so bear that, take it with a pinch of salt. But like, if Ernie was like Mr. Gangster and I had to pay him £1,000 every week and receive my package of stuff to sell or whatever it is, like, I'm not saying he's a drug dealer at all. I'm just saying, as an example, then I probably wouldn't want to meet Ernie every week and hand him £1,000. It would be the most stupid thing to do. Most drug dealers don't handle the money, do they? Like, what happens is you give it to somebody else who's connected and they take it. And like Nikki's husband, sorry, not her husband. God, I'm glad I'm not an investigator making that mistake. Nikki's boyfriend, Paul Ansell's got this business that she's part of, and they, do stuff, and do you know what I mean? The money, follow the money. Like, Nikki's done this thousands of times. It's a regular routine thing she does. What do you know about it? I suppose you know when she walks the dog. You know that she walks the dog all the time. You're well up on her routines, particularly this part of it.
Drops the children off from school. A beloved dog, Willow. She loves it to bits, that dog.
That dog.
She'd do anything for the animal.
That animal. That one triggered me because I never refer to my pets as animals. Do you? Like, I mean, you do, but you know what I mean? That animal. That dog, that animal. And it triggered me because I'm talking about those animal protests and the people that drive the trucks and like their ability to just think of them as objects.
She parks the car in the school car park.
He knows this routine intimately.
Walks across past St Michael's Church, through that little lane, up to the open field, and that's where she does it every day.
She does it every day. What does she do? Walk the dog. Not anything else like untoward. That in this telling of the story would be she does it like whatever she does, like a little bit of business maybe. I don't know.
Day in, day out. There may be days where she misses, but if it's not her, it's Paul.
Paul will do it then.
And it all revolves around the point that they've dropped the children off at the school.
It all revolves around dropping the children off at the school. Well, that's interesting because at the school you've got a little network, haven't you? Got a little group of people. Like, I'm not now. Am I now saying that the school is like, the school board, Emma and all those people, like, they're all involved and they've got their own little network, and it revolves around meeting up at school in the morning. Like, you don't need to deal drugs every day in the morning. Like, you don't need to. No one needs to be buying and selling drugs every day in the morning, so that's not going to be happening. But it all revolves around dropping the kids off at school. So, like, maybe there's someone that goes to the school that's part of the, you know, like, look at this, yeah? If my daughter goes to the school and drops her kids off there, and your daughter goes to the school and drops her kids off there, why don't we get my daughter to take the money and your daughter to take the package, and then we get them to do it? They could just do it at school on the dog walk. We don't have to actually meet anymore, do we? Like, maybe there's someone involved at the school.
But it's just routine.
It's a routine.
And, you know, we're just baffled by...
And the thing about the routine is, if it's a routine, and, I don't know, you're two men dressed in black that look like divers, or Peter Falding when he takes his coat off, like, and you're just stood there observing the routine the day before, and you know the routine because you're part of the routine, because you maybe like are meeting up on the routine, then it's the routine, isn't it? And it's the most vulnerable part.
Like, just baffled.
Baffled, Peter Falding's word.
The police only have said that, you know, they're keeping an open mind about what's happened here.
Keeping an open mind.
Is that...
She gives a little look. She gives a little look, a little side eye. Bombastic side eye. She gives a little side eye.
Is that...
Again, the police, the mention of the police. Every time the police come up, she looks at her dad.
Is that easy to do? Is it difficult?
He does a big swallow as well.
To keep an open mind, you know, when there's speculation and everything. How
God, I'm Mr. Speculation tonight. I know.
Tough is that?
Yeah, well, we're trying to be quite honest with you. We're trying not to get too involved in what people are saying, because nobody knows anything, do
We're not getting involved in what people are saying. Nobody knows anything. We're not grasses.
they? So, and that's what we really want to say today is don't.
And bear in mind, this is just a reading with that hat on from that angle for entertainment purposes. I'm not actually saying this is the full solid truth and they need questioning or anything. Like, I'm just talking about a subject that appears to be as if it were, as if we were going to make a dramatisation out of this. How would we, you know, jazz up the script? What would we fill in the blanks with?
Get blindsided that this has definitely happened, or, you know, we need to keep an open mind. Could be anything, because there's no evidence to point any other way, and get my sister home.
We'll just end on...
Again, it's almost like if you're talking to the kidnapper, you're telling them there's no evidence. There's no evidence twice. The second time she's mentioned it, which is giving them a feeling of safety. Like, we've not put forward any evidence. We've not shown them anything. There's nothing to get you. You know, you're safe. Just please give her back. Do you know what I mean? We're not coming after you. There's no evidence.
Final note from...
Melanie, I wondered what Herney was historically involved in, which is why I look back at his history and his trucking business back in the 90s in Essex, in that area of the world. And then that connected up the protest movement with the animal rights movement. So I started watching the videos from the protest movement, and I made Nicola Bulley case solved when I saw what I just thought to look like Ernie in a truck. I mean, when I say thought to look like, how many people look like Ernie? Do you know how many people have trucks and live in Essex and at that time and, like, you know what I mean? So like, I just, yeah, so that's in Nicola Bulley case solved, I guess. Yeah,
from you all. And how important is it that this message is out there, that people listen, that they give any information that they possibly can to help get your sister?
I can see people in chat getting quite angry with Ernie as well. I want you to be careful and like temper what's going on here, because I'm not the expert. I'm just putting forward ideas that I've connected with research about gin, and, you know, that led to this sort of concept. It connects with the Nicola Bulley case solved as well. So these are ideas that I've got, but I'm not a prosecutor, I'm not a police person, and I'm not saying that Ernie Bulley, you know, I'm not trying to defame Ernie Bulley or make like terrible bad things. Just like, you know, this is a read on it, this is an angle, this is an option.
To help get your daughter back home, how crucial is that?
And sadly, if he is, you know, if they are innocent, sadly, this is what happens when things are mysteries and not solved, and the police, between them and the institution that ran the inquest and the COP report, come to no real firm conclusions that can give anybody any, like, real solace that everything adds up, ties up and makes sense. And that's because they're not funded properly, because we've had 10 years of Conservative government.
Well,
It's the only thing we're holding on to.
we're holding on for this as not our last hope, but this is going to reach out to millions of people.
John, I don't believe the picture shows with Willow the ball in the boot of the car. I think somebody changed the colours on the picture to make it look like there was a tennis ball. I don't believe in that.
People. And we're just hoping that from this interview that something may come of it which will spark a light and it will lead to us finding our daughter.
Spark a light.
How much are you missing now?
Oh, don't. It's hard.
Obviously they're upset.
It's hard. We're such a close-knit family. We are.
Again, repeating the close-knit family aspect.
We are a close-knit family. Sorry.
And they have been quite close-knit, yeah.
But we're such a close-knit family. We do anything for any one of us, and the children would do the same for us. We're getting on in life. And
We'd do anything for anyone else, and the children would do the same for us. That aspect of being a close-knit family requires that people. I mean, you say it, don't you? I'd do anything for you, but doing anything might be just popping down the shops, or it might be something a bit more serious, like we'd do anything for each other. Yeah, like just reading it that way.
The grandchildren and our own children are more important to us as we're getting older. So, yeah, just hope she comes home.
He points out that he's getting older there at the end as well. I know it's a strange thing, but like maybe it's on his conscience. Like I said, that I felt that why would people need to put pressure on him? Like there's the obvious thing that if he's involved with the animal trade and they're relying on that, then he has to stop because that's going to stop anyway. So maybe he said like, I'm going to retire. I'm getting older. I've decided to close the business. So thanks but no thanks. And the response was, "You're fucking not." He's mentioned again that he's older, and I get that. So finally, Peter Folding, isn't it? Like, there's extensive content on this channel about Peter Folding, isn't there? There's extensive content on this channel about Peter Folding. Peter Folding goes back to the same area, doesn't he? He's got a helicopter, that's useful. He's got a sort of private army of security people. Talking of a private army of security people, that's what these chuffers were. Just they called themselves a firm and they did like bad things, dealing drugs and running clubs. But like, if you're handy, if you're ex-coppers, got useful. Peter's company broke up the Protestants in the late 90s, didn't they? Like, got themselves in a sort of non-government official but position of power adjacent to the government work, adjacent to the police, sort of in with the police a bit, but some of the police do and don't like them doing certain jobs and this and that.
Again. I couldn't be happier.
Big up's Body Sculpture.
Body Sculpture sent tippies. The camera that was covering Rowan Water Car Park would have covered part of that embankment. The lens used in these cameras are wide angle to capture everything around that area, including the camera that was pointing to the field that mysteriously stopped working that day.
I was about to say.
Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
Thanks very much. Yeah, maybe the camera would have caught it if she'd been dragged up that alley. Like, I don't know. But I know the camera at Rowan Water was not working. That one that you mentioned. So yeah, like, thanks for contributing tippies, but also information to the study group. Peter Folding, Essex Connection. Peter Folding with his group and his machinery and all that, yeah. Peter Folding goes way back. Peter Folding, in my opinion, from watching the video, appeared to be Peter Folding. I don't even know why I have to be so careful. I think that if you put me in court with a video, you'd say, that's a video of you doing that, you're in trouble now. And I'd be like, no, Your Honour, it's not me. And they'd say, well, it's a video, so you're doing it, you go to prison. Like, Peter Folding, the video, whatever. Like, his role as protest breaker is still, whether he's on that video or not, his role of protest breaker is still spiritually the same, to allow those trucks to go through, to protect the industry of the big pharma. The animal protesters were protesting the Camp Beagle. They're protesting the GlaxoSmithKline. They're protesting what's it called? Huntington Life Science. Peter Folding's out there removing the protesters, making sure that Huntington Life Science goes forward, making sure that the big pharma have their protection. Like the police will come and do their job, but Peter Folding will come and help it, you know. So in this situation, right, it's a week into it. They've done the river search. She's not there. They've been out in boats with sonar from the police.
Raining again. I couldn't be
Admit
happier.
Audacity said
Thank you very
to
much.
I like big mumps and I cannot lie. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you, Admit Audacity. I don't know why I didn't come up with the picture. Thank you very much. Peter Folding has turned up a week late after they've already searched the river. They've already done the sonar in the river. They've already had on the day, the fire and rescue in the river, walking around, cameras on sticks, thermal cameras. They've had little boats going up and down. They've had dogs. Like, they've done a week's worth of searching. Yeah, she's not in the river. Peter Folding turns up, right? It's good, isn't it, though? Good to help search, but it's also interesting that when you're talking about potential links to Essex, potential links to drug trafficking, potential links to higher up pharmaceutical, you know, all this gin stuff I've been talking about, here comes Peter Folding with his helicopter, the fuel of which is paid for by a charity that helps ship life jackets around. And he's got these gang of lads. They've all got those little boats. They go around in those boats. Those boats are just... Do you know when they were smuggling the drugs, the ecstasy, for this? You know what they used? You know what sort of thing they used? They used one of those little boats. You'd be surprised what you can get in a rib boat across a bit of a waterway. Peter Folding's got a few of them. I'm not saying he's doing drug deals or nothing. I'm just saying, like, isn't it funny that this man enters into the fray with all of the same sort of strange, tenuous maybe connections to all this sort of other stuff. That stuff in the history, the big pharma. He's on the side of the big pharma with the protests. He's actually actively doing stuff. He's got the helicopter, got the boats, got the gang. And then he turns up. And if Ernie Bulley is involved and Peter Folding turns up, and imagine that. Imagine Peter Folding turned up. And you know him from way back and he's got all those connections. Is he going to help you to get your daughter back, or is he going to like tell you what to say and do and make sure you're not doing naughty things? I don't know. Like, he'd scare me. Like, what if Peter Folding came in and said, this is just for the telly now, just for our script for the telly, but Peter Folding came in and said, all right, you're not going to talk to the police, are you? I'm in charge of this scene now. I'm Peter Folding. Shut up, Ernie Bulley. Otherwise you're never seeing her again. Whatever. Emma wanted him to come in, didn't she? Emma was the one that found him and brought him in. Emma had the connect, didn't she, to Peter Folding? It was Emma. She was the one that did that. Emma's connect. And then Peter Folding come in, right? And he's great because he's going to find her. But he tells us she's not in the river. Yeah? But then later on, she is in the river. And people say, like, how can, like, there was recently, and I haven't covered it, but Kelly from Blank Faces, check out Blank Faces, you chuffers. Kelly covered it yesterday. There was a report, apparently, a school report, a GCSE, an F. Something was released to suggest that all sorts of things. But one of the things I would say is it didn't suggest that Peter Folding could have anything to do with Nicola Bulley being placed in the river. It said, out of everyone, Peter Folding's the only person that couldn't have put her in the river. But out of everyone in the world that could have potentially put Nicola Bulley in the river, if Nicola Bulley had been taken and kept somewhere, and then you want to put her in the river at a later date, the people that could do it must be reasonably local or in the area, mustn't they? They must be there, because they've got to be there, because they've got to put her in the river. So they've got to be on the scene in some way. Like, this is why we suss about Paul and Emma, isn't it? Suss about them. Peter Folding turns up. He's on the scene, isn't he? He's got his little wagons and his, like, you know, little caravans and stuff like that. He's got his vehicles with him. He goes up and down in the boats. He's in with the police to tell them what, where, when, how, why. When are the police going to be here? I don't know, ask Peter Folding. They're not talking to us. What about when are the police searching this? I don't know, ask Peter Folding. The police aren't talking to us. Helpful. Very helpful, isn't he? Peter Folding. So I don't know. Like, if I was writing a story, I'd put him in with the bad people. Really, he's like wolf in sheep's clothing, isn't he? Like, he's got his own personal agenda, lots of money behind it. The agenda is to take public service. Should be looking for dead bodies in the river should not be a private business, because if it's a private business to look for dead bodies in the river, yeah, let's say I give you £1,000 every time they fish a dead body out the river, right? I will give you £1,000. What about 10 grand? Because it's more than that, 'cause you've got to get your boats clean, right? Let's say I give you 10 grand every time you fish a body out the river. Would you be tempted to push someone in the river for 10 grand? Would you? What about if it's not you, but just some other chuffer that's a bad chuffer? Would they push someone in the river for 10 grand? Because I'm giving anyone 10 grand if they can fish a body out the river. Every time someone goes missing, I'm on the phone. I need someone to look in the river. I've got 10 grand for you. Someone's going to start pushing them in. So you can't do it as a public service. It has to be a private, like, it has to be done by the government, pay the police to run the boats to do the thing, or the fire and rescue. You know, it has to come from there. So the people that sign up for the job are signing up because they've got a vocation in the main. They do the public service. They get paid for it, of course, but they're getting paid whether people are in the river or not. Like, they're getting paid their rate, and they have to do the difficult job sometimes when it's needed. But if you start paying people like a commission...
It's raining again. I couldn't be
Brett sent
happier.
tippies.
Big ups.
She fell in 2 foot of water. I've seen worse on You've Been Framed. No chance plus. They couldn't find her a couple of hours after apparently falling in. I will never believe she fell in.
I agree.
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Whilst you can drown in like less than an inch of water if you're lying face down in it, like, I agree. If she had been in that river, I think they would have found her. That's why it's a big mystery, and why we all ask all these questions, and why at the end of it all you can solve it by putting her back in the river and saying, there she is, she floated up. Well, she had to be in water for a certain amount of time to have got into this state. So she's always been in the river, that's it. Job done. Shut the fuck up, go home. How about that? Do you want to get murdered? Peter Folding to me seems like a bit of a fixer in the middle. Like, it seems like, you know, he shouldn't be, I've just told you, he shouldn't be doing that job, fishing people out the river for money. Like, he should not be involved in that. He's not a search and rescue. He's not going to find you still alive. They bring him in to find you dead at the bottom with a sonar that the police have anyway. And if it's so special, buy one for all the police and train them in using it and just fuck him off. Like, it's just ridiculous what he's doing. Absolutely ridiculous. He's pretending that he's doing a lovely public service and he's a great guy for money. For lots of money. If he thought it was so important, he'd be petitioning the government that the police should be set up. He would offer his services as a consultation for free to train the police on it. He'd be setting up a charity to donate sonar to the police so the police could do the job when he's not there. Wouldn't he? Life jackets to schools. Get off. What are you doing in the schools with your life jackets? So Peter Folding is a strange character. He's come in from the sidelines and he's ascertained, or what was the right word? He's got some sort of control over certain aspects of this. He's in with Paul. He's in with Emma. He's talking. Is he not talking to Ernie? Why is he not talking to Ernie? Were you not big friends with Ernie from back in the day? Do you not have any old stories to back and forth from back in the day? Like, you were both on the scene back in the day. So yeah, him and Ernie, no. Like, no, apparently not. I don't know. Like, was he there to pressure Ernie? Was he there to make sure everyone did what they were told? Was he there to sort of facilitate as a middleman? And did something go wrong and Nicola end up dead and in the river? And who was the most likely to have been able to, like, get her into the river? Who would know the window of opportunity? Who would know how the bodies behave? Who would know, like, you know, what you had to do and when? Who's quite important and instrumental in making sure things go the right way? Like, Emma, Paul, Peter, I don't know. Jesus was a fisher of men. Big up Jesus. Big up Jesus Christ. No, seriously though, big up Jesus. I'm not doing that as a diss. Like, big up Jesus Christ. Like, big up the team of the goodies. All that Mason stuff. Like, at the end of Nicola Bulley Case Solved, you know, I did Lord is my shepherd, Psalm 23. Psalm 23, isn't it? Ooh, 23. All the bench is 23. Like, you can reread that and you can say to people, well, the Lord is your shepherd, you shall not want. So do what you're fucking told. The rod is my staff is my protector. So the rod and staff, the police, the baton, they're going to beat you into submission, and it's your fault. You do what you're told. We should be murdering animals and eating them. They're sheep. The average proletariat, us fucking normies, we're the sheep. Collateral damage. It's the lords that are important. The Lord is thy shepherd. And the lords have all got land and their gentry and their elites. It's the Masons. I'm not saying it's the Masons, but that reading of it, that angle on it at the end there, that's where, like, you can use sort of historic Christianity to enforce this idea within a nobility, an elite, a group of elites, that they should sit there at the top of the tree, that they are born into it, and it's justly so. God has decided it. They are the shepherds, and these idiots, these normal people, these idiots need to be herded. So it's good for us to be controlling society. It's good for us to be manipulating politics. It's good for us to be running bad, illegal operations and getting away with it, because these people need fucking shepherding. The Lord is thy shepherd. Thy shepherd. The Lord is thy shepherd. Is he? Is he supposed to be fucking pushing me around, telling me what to do all the time, hooking me with his crook? Can't he let me get on with it? Do I have to be a sheep? Can't I be a human being with, like, all my wisdom and option, humanity, freedom? Yeah, and let's not shut down society by going all 1984. But political again, Europe's gone now, Brexit's done, so we've taken back control, and they're going to ban this, and they're going to ban that, and they're going to ban smoking, and they're going to ban that, and they're going to... So it's all good now, everything's fine. Yeah, so aside from that politics, that's what I've got. Like, yeah, communists have elites, yeah, like elites are elites, I'm not saying it's like communism is good. We're not living in that world. Like, that's a naivety as well, is that because we don't think that this system that's going on now is very good, that we should go backwards to communism. That's just strange. That's what something they say about it to try and make you, stick with what they're doing. Anyway, enough politics. The whole thing is that the bad people, Peter Folding, final word is, on him here, is that coming from the sides with his strange lies. He told us he was lying. His connections to these things in the past, his company of men in black behind the scenes, literally wearing black the whole time, but with a high-vis coat on to look like a police person, dresses his vehicles up to look like the London police that are designed to protect the government. London Red Police. Some Metropolitan Police cars in London are red rather than white. What, like Peter Folding's vehicles, you mean? All of Peter Folding's vans are like that, aren't they? Tatty red van, eh? And that's because these are special ones that deal with protection, like security for the Westminster diplomatic community. So if you're in the government, if you're in Westminster, if you've got an embassy, you get special protection police, and they drive red cars. These people, these bad people. So that's really the episode, really, isn't it? Gin. Did she get injected with one of the byproducts of gin? Was Nicola Bulley injected with one of the byproducts of gin? That's something for the study group. Would it come out as propanol, like your beta blockers, propanolol? Would the marker be the same for the beta blockers? Would there be bruises on her which are just undescribed? Would that lead to, if that was the case, then that's because someone's trying to keep her alive, but keep her under control, maybe for a short time? Those people would obviously have access to that stuff from the gin world. The gin world's right round the road. Like, it's not just this one, but there's a gin company. They're all involved in gin. Everyone loves gin. Emma's got a gin bar. Paul's got a gin bar. They all love the gin. Like, gin could also be a cover for the processing and shipping of pharmaceutical grade chemicals that can potentially be narcotics, like the production of narcotics. If you're going to be shipping and moving cocaine, you're probably going to want access to some of these chemicals, and gin is a good place to cover it because you've got all the kits there. So all the access, all the stuff from that world is there. Then you're talking about narcotic drugs, you're talking about shipping narcotics, and Nikki the Bulley K Soul video goes back to the 1990s, where I'm saying they were pushing through animals, and could it be something on the trucks that they're pushing through? And that final connection that rang in my head was this guy saying from the Essex Boys that they injected people. Okay, you know, Evelina, bless her, rest in peace. Nikki the Bulley, rest in peace. I don't think they're the main players in this, but I think the resourcing of the production of, you know, ketamine, chemicals, narcotics, it's drug world, isn't it? It's gangsters, it's drug world, and it's shipping that back and forth, and that gets people murdered. I mean, I'm not saying Nikki the Bulley's involved in that way, but it gets people murdered, do you know what I mean? So, gin. It's all about gin.
Gin, this village is boring and everyone's talking. So gin, I'll be selling Marsh Farm Hall, but I'm keeping the gin bar and moving far from you all. Abroad this is so. Gin, work meetings and gin under my armor, my eyelashes flutter. So gin, gin, work meetings and gin, gin under my armor, my eyelashes flutter. So gin, gin, work meetings and gin. Paul Ansel thinks he's Elvis, but I'll break his pelvis with jumping, you know. So gin, weddings are off, I'll be burning the tent along with all the trace evidence. People don't just vanish, it doesn't make any sense. Whoa, big wobbly men can't bring back my friend, and my farm is a blur on the Google. After I finish this bottle of gin, I'll bring in folding for cadaver removal. Peter Falding. Whoa.
It's raining again. Someone sent tippies. Super Chopper owes 3 hugs.
Peter Falding can find a tiny little stone on the bottom of the river. Peter, whoa, Falding.
Thank you for the tippies.
Gin, work meetings and gin.
Thank you for the tippies.
Dark side feel.
Whoa.
Dark side feel. King of chill. Dark side feel. Dark side feel.
That's not supposed to be playing. I've got one more song for you. We've got a special song that I want to play from Sentries. So you don't have to get into this. Listen, this is on the silly side of things, and I don't know why I'm even doing it here, but I just feel like I do want to do it. And then we're going to play one more song, which is the final song will be a chuffer song. But this goes here, really. This goes here, so fuck it, I'll just play it here. You might as well. You know, have a laugh. Have a laugh. Work meeting time.
Roll off out, dragging my sonar to see if I can find a body in the river. Later on I'll do some TV interviews, pick up game and homes. Off I'll find my helicopter to see if I can body in the river. Later on I'll do some TV interviews, pick up game and homes. If only I wasn't such a creepy geezer, I would have been seen as a gent. But when I open up my mouth, I leave them in no doubt. I know coppers, but the ones I know are. You see where she went? No idea. Off out digging up some deposition sites to see if I can find them like my llamas. Later on I'll do some TV interviews, pick up game and homes.
Please don't murder me.
Off out start digging up some deposition sites to see if I can find them like my llamas. Later on I'll do some TV interviews, bigger fame and homes.
Oh, it just stops like that. I have got some nice. I've got an extension to that. I've got an extended version that's coming out. But we'll leave it for a bit because you can't release the extended version just after the. We'll leave it for a bit. And this is the sleepy song for the end of my streams, which I'm going to start playing for if you're going to bed times. But I might come on and play some Genshin Impact on the B side on Twitch. So yeah, just like have a chit chat later. But yeah, be good. And if you can't be good, you're naughty. So thank you very much for everyone that's a member. I appreciate that we're not churning out content as much at the moment on Super Chuffer. But as I say, like, we're looking for a strong finish to this year. So we're all good. We're all good. You're good. If you like this and you think there was something valuable in it, if you disagree with me and you think my ideas are strange and bad, fair enough, say it in the comments. You know, if you've got different spin on things or you've got information or whatever, put it in the comments. Like, this is supposed to be a bit of a conversation piece. I was going to make it into a straight video where it was like, these are things I think and these are facts, but they're a bit more diffuse than that. They're a bit more like juggling balls of thoughts. So, you know, you enjoy carrying those balls, and if you don't, throw them back at me, I guess. I don't know. I'll try and catch them. You be good, and if you can't be good, you're naughty. Thank you very much for everyone that gave me a tippy. And everyone that watches and supports and subscribes and shares. Thank you very much to you too, you chuffers. Sharing it's just as good as a tippy, really. This is the wrong song again. Here we go. Here we go. This is the sleepy song. There you go.
The chuffermen coming to send you to bed. Up the wooden hills to Bedfordshire. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. And I'll see you in the morning. The chuffermen carry you off to bed, my dear. Up the wooden hills to Bedfordshire. Sleep on clouds. I'll be around to see you in the morning. The chuffermen dreams of all kinds of things. What do you dream of? The chufferman sings of sleepy time.